Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome back to Mastermind Academy. Yeah, my voice is working pretty well. I had to do a little bit of I did some computer surgery this weekend on both of my computers. So I'm glad I didn't do any pre-checks. It feels like you can hear me, at least from what I can see right now. Got myself a little cup of Joe right now just to wake me up a little bit. But it's good to have everyone here. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Pipelines, where we are going to dive into software delivery, automation, and infrastructure, those good old DevOps and SRE concepts. We're here. We're ready. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do anything on Saturday. Number of reasons, mostly Comcast. Besides that, it's good to see you. If anyone's from Texas, particularly Sully, you may not be on because you probably don't have internet. I mean, don't have power at all right now. But if you are in Austin, I got you in my prayers. Pretty crazy. Super cold, and you don't have power at all, and haven't had it for hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm pretty sorry about that. So hopefully, anyone from Texas is doing okay. But who do we have here today? What's up, Pingles Airlines? First, good job, last in propagation. Good to see you. What's up, Lar? How are you doing? Army guy, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Aya, good to see you on time, gang. I was not on time, but pretty close to it. Ain't no profit. Good to see you. What's up, RH? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. What's up, Aban? How you doing today? Racadius, good to see you. Who else do we have here? D Thompson Dev, welcome, welcome. Dorian, good to see you. Black Eagle 89, Goku, welcome. Am I a pen tester? No, I am not a pen tester. I've done some pen testy things. I've messed around with Kali. I dove into the world just a bit. I'm not a pen tester though. Let's see. Chunk of this weekend, transferring my domain source code from the static site I was hosting on GoDaddy into AWS S3 buckets and Route 53. Loved it. You learned. That's amazing. That's great. I'm glad you were. Hopefully, you were able to do it successfully. Sounds like you might have learned a lot. That's really, really good. All these are very, very useful things to know. That's pretty great, and hopefully, it'll save you some money as well. Some fun to dig into. Haven't gotten much experience in the cloud. That's great. Seriously, these are all amazing things and very useful in the future for sure. I like Azure so far. I've been diving into Azure. I like it. I do like it. I agree. I like Azure. I don't like it any more than I like AWS right now, but I'm enjoying it so far. Like I understand why they've done a few things, and it's interesting to see a different ethos and a different take on how this stuff is done. Some will be good, some won't be. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Kruasia. I tried that again. Kruasia. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're from Cambodia. That's dope. Welcome from East Coast, United States, from Baltimore. Good to have you learning AWS. Dope. Yeah, we do some AWS stuff. So on Fridays, we're doing a boot camp called Horizons, which is a journey into cloud computing with AWS. So we do a lot of AWS stuff here as well if you're interested in that. Yes, we are doing Ansible today, 100%. I have a question. Is Ansible the same as Puppet and Chef? Black Eagle, we can answer that right up front. It is designed. Yes, it is designed to solve the same problem as Puppet and Chef. We are going to talk. We're going to talk about configuration management as a whole. So although today we're going to be using Ansible, we are about to hop into talking about this holistically and helping you understand exactly what it is, not just how to use it. But yes, it is. It solves the same problem as Chef and Puppet. We will talk about how they're different and why they're different. Okay. So actually, let's go ahead and do that right now, because today is going to be mostly because we've already done some infrastructure as code stuff. It's actually probably going to feel pretty easy to kind of approach what we're going to be doing tonight. But yeah, that's exactly what we're. I mean, it shouldn't be. I don't think it's gonna be tough, to be honest. Learning how to use Ansible to its full capacity, sure, that might take a little bit, but I think you've done the hard part. If you spent last week learning Terraform with us, you kind of understand the paradigm of infrastructure as code. We're gonna talk about it again. We're gonna talk about it with the frame of server configuration management over top of it, and we're gonna dive into that now. So let me get into this 1 second. Not AWS. We want to go to Drive. And so there aren't any new slides tonight. The slides tonight, we're actually not going to use these Ansible slides because of some ideas I have here. We're going to hop back into our infrastructure as code slides. So I'll share these. You probably already have these from last week, but I will share this with you now. Anyone with a link? Let's copy that link. AI Luna, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Continuing for 2 months. That's love. Good to have you. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a great day today. Also, Lil Rex, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Also, G Doc Killin, welcome. Good to have you. All right, let's update the slides command. So y'all, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at the typing thing. I can't see, I genuinely cannot see the keys because of the font on them. And I'm not perfect yet, obviously, but I am far better than I was last week. And it is forcing me to be more accurate. We'll see how I do in front of you all today, but you know, we'll get there. Yeah, new keyboard. I built, so one of my problems I was having with the keyboard, I was telling you guys that I had a custom keyboard that I built with a special layout, and going back and forth between that and like my laptop keyboard and other keyboards was causing me not to be proficient in any of them. I did build a new one that has the same layout, but the keycaps have smaller surface area, so you have to be a little bit more accurate. I thought it was going to help, but it actually doesn't. It didn't at first. And so yeah, so I've been getting used to it, but it's the same layout, so that's good. But the keycaps are it probably doesn't show up as well on camera, but the text is like a very similar color. It's like a darker black. It's like dark gray keycaps with black text. And so in the lighting of my room, I can't see them. Like I can't see what the letters are and stuff. So me looking down doesn't really help me all that much. So I was having a lot of trouble last week, but you know, we're making progress. It's actually moving me forward. You know, you get a little uncomfortable and you know, you get better and better. All right, so let's hop back into it. I'm hoping today can be the one amazing day that I get you out of here as fast as possible. The one thing, it does need more RGB. I agree. I have this is an RGB keyboard. The PCB is RGB. It's per key LEDs on there, but these keycaps are not shine through or anything like that. The keycaps that I have for this board that I actually ordered to match with this aren't coming until October. These are just some random keycaps that I wanted to grab so I could use this keyboard for now. But you know, it does have RGB. I keep my RGB pretty simple. I do like RGB lighting, but I keep my stuff color themed. So like my build right now is it's just mastermind colors. It's black, white, and blue. But yeah, October, yes, it's a group buy. So that's the keyboard market. I did a group buy. I didn't know it was a group buy at the time, but it's a group buy and it won't come until October. So, you know, it is what it is. Joe Flu, good to see you. What's up? Hope you're having a good day. All right. So we've been talking about infrastructure as code. We talked about how infrastructure as code is simply the process of managing and provisioning computer data centers through machine readable definition files. So through text, you write some text, you describe what it is that you want, and you either you get some infrastructure, or you can configure it the way that you want to configure it. And so we talked about some of the reasons why. Some of the reasons why were that you could now manage your infrastructure the same way that you manage your application code. It also allowed for more consistent, more reliable deployments, reusable code as well, reusable infrastructure as well. Templating, all that stuff we talked about for some of the reasons why you'd want to do it. And we got to dive into provisioning. So we got to dive into Terraform last week. 2 weeks ago, we got to dive into both CloudFormation and AWS CDK in the Horizons course. So we've been doing a little bit of that over the last few weeks. But there's another side. There's really another 2 pieces to infrastructure as code. There is provisioning, but there's also these 2. There's server or software configuration management. And there's also scripting. We're not gonna do much with scripting right now. There is something that's coming along with that. But tonight, or this week in particular, specifically about server and software configuration management and having a good understanding of what this is. Again, after last week, I think that most of the major concepts have been covered, but we'll talk about it. Ask as many questions as you want. We're gonna just dive into it. The tool that we're gonna use for the week is Ansible. I'll tell you right up front. I've used Ansible for a number of things. I've been dabbling with Ansible for years now, but I already told y'all I'm a bigger fan of build time configuration rather than runtime. So I generally stay away from these. The infrastructure tool, the configuration management tool I have the most experience with is Chef, and I'll give you a little information about what the differences are. And I've used Puppet a fair amount as well. So we'll definitely talk about the differences between those and why you might want to choose one over the other. And the reason why it's good to know about those is, yes, in your solutioning, it would help for you to understand that, so that you can pick one, but they'll all solve your problem, guaranteed. But more so for the interview process, it'll come up in the interview process. So if you can be able to talk through the reasons why you might like one over the other, it might help. I want how to build a keyboard. Pretty easy. I don't know how to solder, so I have a hot swappable. I use hot swappable PCBs, but everything else, is fine. It's pretty easy to do. I just use YouTube. Kind of expensive though. And Pro 2s. I like the M Pro 2s. I also love brown switches. I do enjoy the my favorite tactile switch right now. I'm waiting for some glorious pandas to come in, but I really do like the what are the purple ones that I have? The Zelios V2s. I really like those a lot. This keyboard is my first linear build. I'm using the Novel Keys Creams. Novel Keys Creams, and they are lubed and filmed, I guess. I bought them that way, but I don't know. What's up, Serious Mac Kraken? Good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Good to have you. What's up, Ryder Dev? Thank you so much for the follow. What's up, Spiritus? Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the follow. Good to have you all here. All right, so we're dedicated to this middle section tonight. We talked about provisioners, that stuff like Terraform, where you actually provision infrastructure. You say, hey, go ahead and give me a server. Go ahead and give me this kind of storage space. Go ahead and give me this type of network. And you hand that off to whatever the platform is, and you get that. Great. Configuration management, on the other hand, is a different beast, okay? How did Kobe Bryant say it to Kanye West? Are you the different animal but the same beast? Something along those lines is what was said, and I feel like they were talking about all of the aspects of server and infrastructure as code software. So configuration management, what is it? In DevOps, or really notice exactly what the F does that mean, Kobe Bryant? 100%. What does it mean? But server configuration management. The reason I put the words in DevOps here, and this was originally taken from the specific DevOps course, and this is really just in terms of in infrastructure. I probably should change in DevOps to in infrastructure right here. But configuration management is an automated method. So again, that automatic word right there, automated method for maintaining computer systems and software in a known and consistent state. So not only do I know what it is, but it is a consistent state, and it's for installation and maintenance, and it's super helpful. The reason why I specifically called out in infrastructure in DevOps is because configuration management, if you Google it, the term actually exists in a number of places, and it is mostly this. Everywhere it's about keeping something in a consistent state, or being able to set something up properly, but sometimes it's talking about processes and things like that. Yo, SB, what's up, man? How you doing today? I didn't get to see the end of your stream, but I hope you won that game. It's good to see you, bro. But yeah, so that's all it is. It is doing what we did last time, but it is actually getting the system set up, getting it comfortable, making sure we got all the things that we need installed on top of it, users, all that stuff. So you're managing its configuration, so that's in a known, consistent state. Here are, absolutely, I'm always coming through, man. I told you, I'm always gonna come through. But configuration management vendors. Here are a lot of the vendors that, these are the main players in the game. There are more than this, but these are the ones that you probably wanna be aware of. There's Chef, okay? There's Puppet. There's Ansible, that's what we're gonna be using tonight. And there's SaltStack. There's another one in Python called Fabric. There's a number of different ways for you to manage this. Now, we are gonna talk about, let's talk about a couple things. Let's, where do I wanna start this? First, let's go back to the question. Black Eagle asked a question earlier. Is Ansible the same as Chef and Puppet? Yes, it is. They're both configuration management tools, but they go about solving the problems in different ways. All three of them, you describe what it is that you want and the setup that you want, and the system handles it for you. The system handles getting there for you, okay? You don't have to be direct about what you're doing. The ordering doesn't have to be exact. It can figure these things out. You declare what you want, figures it out for you. Here's what the difference is. There are a couple different models, and let's draw this out a little bit. Here are the models. The first model that we have a pull model, okay? So the first way of configuration management is the pull model. This is where Puppet and Chef come in, okay? They both operate. Whoa, I didn't like that at all. Puppet, man, it is not like when I do a C, because it thinks it's a circle. Puppet and Chef, they are both pull models. What does that mean? So when we're practicing configuration management, there's generally two types of systems that you have inside of any kind of setup like this. So some people call it the master and the slave. People are trying to pull away from that. I honestly don't know what the newer terminology of it is. The nodes, the nodes are usually the client as well, but you might have something that's the main server here, and you might have I'll just call this main. Okay, for now, you have a main centralized point of contact. Okay, leader and follower, I think is a new term. That makes a lot of sense. I like that. Okay, so we got the leader here. And then usually you have a follower. So you have generally you have one leader. You might have a couple leaders, but there's usually a cluster of things dedicated as the leader. And then you might have many followers. Okay. Oh, main and target. I like that as well. I'm a boomer when it comes to stuff like this. I need to get up to speed on the new terms. For sure, I do like leader and follower. I really like main and target as well. But also these are generally called nodes. Control, target, all those work for me. I think people can understand all of those terminologies as, perfectly fine. Father and son, sure. Mother, daughter, I like them all. I really do. I like them all. Where are we right now? Azure DevOps? No, we are simply talking about configuration management, tax timeline. We're talking about configuration management as a whole. What is server configuration management? Right now, we're talking about the different models of server configuration management. Right now, we are talking about the pull model of server configuration management. And so the pull works in this way. It works in that all of these servers, all of the nodes, every single follower, every single node, every single target gets a daemon installed. It may not run as a daemon, but it gets a piece of software installed. It gets a client, whatever you want to call it, that runs on these systems. And what they do is they pull data from the main area. And so actually, these arrows are going to look dumb no matter what we do. They're going to look wrong, to be honest. But they pull the nodes pull information. They pull this configuration down and ensure they are in a known and consistent state. So they basically check in with this leader or this main server. Okay, they pull all the nodes are responsible for pulling their information. So you write the configuration. Okay, you set it onto the place that these things are going to check in with, the main place. And each of the nodes that are a part of the cluster, each of the nodes that are part of this entire configuration management pool will then pull to get updated information. They will pull that data from the main area. Okay, so it'll sit there, and then each of the nodes will grab it down from there and configure themselves accordingly. What are the pros and cons of this? One, I think a con is, so let's do cons. First, some of the cons are simply that you have a running service. Okay, that you have to worry about. All right, so you got to install that running service is the daemon or the client. You got to worry about that thing. That thing has to be running. You have to worry about if it's up or not. And every time you have a running service, that is another point of failure. To be 100% honest with you, no matter what. Okay, you have a running service, so cool. It may be fine. It is fine, but it is something else for you to manage. Okay, so that's one con. Um, there are a few other major cons that I don't want you to have to worry about yet. I think we're gonna dive into those cons as we get a little bit farther along. But some of the pros, and you might say, "Oh, this is looking kind of good for this kind of setup," and that's true. But some of the pros are, I'm really only going to give you two of the pros right now because there are a lot. Are that one that it is easy to provision, or easy to provision or bootstrap new servers. All right. Why in the world is this model, why in the world is the pull model easy to bootstrap new servers? So first, let's talk about the way that this is used. Let's contextualize how the world is using this stuff. Well, we live in the world of the cloud, right? That's what we've been talking about for the past few weeks. And the cloud enables us to have access to as many systems as we want. We're able to scale up to meet demand. You know, we have all this elasticity, scalability, all that other stuff. So your servers are no longer set. So although you may want to manage, maybe you have 3 servers to manage on average, but in a given day, you may scale up to 15 servers and scale back down, you know, back to 3 in the evening. And you might be somewhere in between there all day. Or you might work for someone who has literally hundreds of servers and they might scale up to, you know, thousands of servers per day and back down. That can get really, really annoying to manage. Sometimes you have no idea when these auto scaling events are going to happen, and you might have servers getting added to your pools at any given time of the day. You don't know what's going on. When this happens, you want to be able to spin these servers up and get them set up as quick as possible. Okay, and bootstrapping a server is doing exactly that. It is not only getting the server provisioned, but it's getting everything needed to run your applications all installed and configured properly from scratch. A pull method is it's easier to get bootstrap new servers. The reason is you can configure the installation of the daemon. Okay, when you install this little tool over here, when you get it installed, you can tell it where to point. Okay, you can have it configured with the location of the main system. And once it's up and it needs to check in for data, it can go pull that. It knows exactly where to go to pull that information, and it can get itself set up nice and easy. And because it's so easy to bootstrap new servers, that means this is generally a more scalable model. It's much easier to scale this because you can bootstrap for servers faster. Anytime you can bootstrap a server faster, that's going to be the more scalable option generally. All right, and so maybe not even scalable, maybe scalability is the word I want to put here. It's probably what I want to put here. That's kind of the pros here. Okay, so you have a running process on it. It also means that you may not have full control over the system because the daemon kind of doesn't control itself. There's a whole paradox here. What does daemon mean? Daemon, that's a good question. I don't know what the official term for daemon is. But daemon is a running service. It runs in the background. Um, it's a indefinitely running service. Let me see. Let's see. Daemon computing. Computer program that runs as a background process rather than being under the direct control of an interactive user. Yeah, so it just runs indefinitely in the background on the server. And correct, Matt Damon is the right answer here, 100%. So great, that works. And again, this is how both Puppet and Chef work. So you basically, what happens is you write your Chef. I forgot what they're called in Puppet. I think they're called manifests. Maybe I don't remember what they're called in Puppet. Chef, you write your cookbooks or however you want to do it, your recipes, and you place them into, again, that main location. You get them onto a server that's managing those things, and it sits there and it's ready to accept connections to be able to tell anything that authenticates with it what and how it should be configured. And so when you spin up a new server, you basically, all you have to do is install the service. So the same way that we've installed Nginx, when we run Nginx, that's a little service, that's a little daemon. You just apt install this thing, and you put a configuration file in place telling it where to check in at. And once it knows where to check in, it will go check in. It'll get all of its configuration, and it'll set itself up accordingly. That daemon will handle that process. Another nice thing about this is because the daemon is running on the individual nodes, what can happen is you can also get interval, and you can do this with anything, but it's commonly practiced for interval configuration updates. So you not only would you spin up a service that checks in with this thing and it gets itself all configured, it can check. You can have it check back in on a consistent basis to make sure that it is up to date and has everything that it needs. So maybe 30 minutes. 30 minutes is pretty common. Checking every 30 minutes to see if things have drifted, and if they have drifted, get it back into a known consistent state. Or if there are updates, I can now apply those updates. Great. One of the reasons why this can be tough as well. Another con though is that because the management of this happens at the node, it is harder to make updates. You can't really, well, so out of the box, you can't really do immediate updates, immediate automatic updates. You can't really do immediate automatic updates without, so generally, if you did want to do it out of the box, if you wanted to do an immediate update to a system, you could, but you'd have to log into that system and then submit the command to check in with the main server. That's one of the problems. There's no quick way to get updates because each node handles this on its own accord, okay? There are ways to handle this, tons of ways to handle this, but out of the box, there is no immediate automated way to get updates there immediately. All right, so that can be a problem. Do you have a node per application and the main orchestration, the on-off process of each node? So in this case, this is not like containers. So you could have a node per application. So a node is just a server. A node is just a server that is being managed by the main by the main location. Okay, so it's up to you. Generally, no. Generally, there's gonna be many applications on these systems. A lot of the times, it's up to you though. You could do only one if you wanted, but generally, no, not just one. It's not like a container. And the main orchestrates the on-off process of each node. And so not even just the on-off process, it manages literally everything that you would do. It can manage that. Again, what users are on the system, what groups are on the system, what files and configuration are on the system, what is their permissions, what services are installed, what services are running, what services should not be running. Whatever the systems management you need, this is what the orchestration server kind of does for you. What's up, Mr. Shaq? What's up, Angry African? Good to have you. Hopefully you're not angry right now. We're just learning a little bit. Don't be mad at me. What's up, I'm One? Good to see you. What's up, Text? Text Timeline? I already got you. Welcome. It's good to have you all here. What's up, MVX James? Welcome to the channel. It is good to have you all here. So when you provision the server, you have some scripts to install the daemon. Hey, yeah. So that is something that you have to handle. You do have to handle what happens when you install a server. How do you bootstrap it? So yeah, usually if you all are familiar with anything in AWS, EC2 instances have something called user data, and you can install it there, and you can actually put in some stuff to configure it. But yeah, generally, depending on how you have it set up, you have some type of automation to be able to set these things up by default, install the daemon at the very beginning, or you'd have a golden image that had the configuration already installed with a service already installed that you booted everything off of, and that would make it a little bit easier. But yeah, you would need some kind of script to do that to make sure the daemon gets installed. Would that be an individual cron job? If you're talking about for the interval config updates, yeah, generally it'd be a cron job, it could be a cron job depending on which tool you're using. They all have built-in methods for handling this as well. Yeah, and it's desired state configuration. So we'll talk about this in a second. Does the main need to have its own server or does it share it? Oh, so no, it doesn't need to be its own like dedicated server. The process can also update itself. So the main could be a node as well if you wanted it to be. Generally that's frowned upon though. You start the node up and it makes it the way you want, but it takes time, which sometimes is an issue. Yes, legendary move. Yes, so we're gonna talk about some of the caveats of what this looks like. Yeah, golden image. Yeah, that's where you gotta put some stuff at. I share the term golden image. I agree with you. I agree. I actually genuinely agree with you there. But it's the industry standard term. We just use Cloud Init. Cloud Init works just fine for this. Yep, for that. Exactly. A sweet Scorpio, thank you so much for continuing the gifted sub from Sully. Again, Sully, you're probably not here right now, and hopefully the reason why you're not here is, hopefully you're just tired of seeing my face, tired of hearing my voice, and not that you don't have internet because your power is out because you're in Texas, because you're in Austin. What's up, March? Right, you are correct. We are about, I think we're a week behind. We're a week or maybe 2 weeks behind on the YouTube videos. They're ready. They are uploaded. They are not. They have not been titled, and the data has not been put in yet. But yeah, you're correct. Good call out. I'll do my best to get to that tonight. We'll see what I get to, but hopefully I can get that tonight. But all the stuff is recorded. It all is available, and it'll get up there shortly for sure. I've been hearing single source of truth for golden image. I like that. I like that. I like that. I do like it. What's the difference between creating a golden image with everything and creating a basic image with only the agent and load all the configs later? Black Eagle. This is the $1 million question, and it all depends on what is required of your setup. Me personally, I am all about the source of truth image, the golden image. I am all about build time configuration. All right, building in everything that I need into the image and having that thing run. And if I need to make updates, that I put it back to the build time and I rebuild it to deploy it. Now there are caveats to that. There are a lot of caveats to that. One of the caveats is that doing that makes it much. Usually, the time to fix is much longer. Usually, the time to fix is much longer through the entire build process. Images just simply take longer to deploy because you actually have to replace the system. There are a number of caveats to that, especially with the way that your application runs. A lot of people practice a little bit of both, where you install some of your main things. What doing that also does is it also removes issues of network problems. Maybe a mirror that I'm using to install certain packages goes down or something, and it might destroy my ability to spin up and scale out new servers. These are caveats that I'm willing to take the time to work around with the longer build times. But depending on how your setup is, it can be problematic. What doing something like this is, what creating the basic image with the agent and loading up everything later, is it allows for active management of the systems. Doing the golden image doesn't allow for any management of the systems. You cannot manage the systems. Basically, your systems are they're ephemeral. Okay, they're what is it when they can't be changed? My mind is blanking right now. They are they're immutable. You're basically now into the immutability game. If there's anything that needs to change, you cannot change them. So you don't have any of that management over. So you do lose a fair amount of control of real-time control. So it can be pretty problematic. Thank you. Your office hours and build series. Is there a way I can see that? Yes, I have those saved. I wasn't going to upload those, but people have requested it. So those are teed up. They're uploaded to be able to be posted. So all the ones that have existed so far will be there. March right. There are no slides. Burning JC, there are no slides today. We are feeding a little bit off of the infrastructure as code slides that we already were looking at, but we're talking through a lot of this today. Automate. Normally we would push apps to use pre-baked configs. Yeah. Yep. It is. There's definitely there's certainly caveats to both of them. To both of the management ways of managing these things. So this is the pull method. So let's talk about the other method with which, if this is pull, there is a push method. And this is going to be where Ansible lies. Okay? Ansible lies here where you still have whatever your main system is, okay? You're going to have one of them, or it could be other ones as well, that holds. And so on this main system, this is where all of that configuration is held, okay? It's all sitting right here on the system. And instead of pulling all this information. It knows, so it keeps up a file here that has, you know, IP addresses, and this is the inventory. Because it's going to push information rather than things checking in with this, it's going to be pushing information out. It has to know where to send information to. So you've got to keep track of that inventory. So it keeps track of it here, and it pushes out that information to all of the nodes or to the followers for them to update. All right. What's nice about this is now we do have, let's do some pros up here. We do have, you know, immediate update access. Okay. So we can, whenever we want to make a change, we can push it out immediately. We can, you know, we've updated some code, we've added some things in, kick it out there. It's good to go. Okay. Some cons, I'll add some more pros, but when I give you a pro, I generally want to give you a con, but generally it's harder to bootstrap. Why is it harder to bootstrap? Okay. Now think about a dynamic environment. Think about these systems of auto scaling that we have. How, if you have systems that you don't know your IP addresses, you don't know what the IP address of a new system is going to be. You don't know what that domain name is going to be. Maybe. And if you do, you got to set up some system to handle that. So what you have to do is when new systems are created, when new systems are provisioned, you got to make sure that this new node, somehow this information has to get here first in the inventory before it can push out to here. Okay. So this has to happen first before this can happen right here. And so it's a little more difficult to provision these things. These are all solvable problems. All of these problems have not necessarily been solved, but there are ways to make these trade-offs burn a little bit less. And they are trade-offs. You know, they're definitely trade-offs to them. And so that just has to happen first. I've seen some really, really interesting ways of doing this. I've seen there are some out of the box solutions. There are custom solutions. I've seen cool things where people's inventory files are locked up in S3, kind of like a state file in Terraform. And they have some automated processes where as new things are queried before this can ever run, you know, it queries all the data from AWS and parses out the information that it needs and builds a brand new inventory file, and that gets pulled down before anything ever starts. Okay. You know, there's with code, you can make anything's possible. Okay. But you've got to update the inventory file first before you go ahead and do that. So bootstrapping can be a little bit more difficult, which kind of sucks, but you do have immediate access. One of the biggest pros here is that two things. Actually, the first one is that there is no service or daemon to manage. All right. There are no services. There's no Ansible service running on these nodes that you have to worry about. You don't have to get it installed. You don't have to get anything set up for this to provision. We're going to talk a little bit deeper about Ansible, but Ansible runs over SSH. All right. We learned about the SSH protocol, secure shell. This is the way that you remotely connect to a Linux machine. Ansible works over SSH, whereas if we go back to the pull slides over here, these work over, I'm pretty sure both of these work over mostly, they have actually some options here, but both of them work over HTTPS as opposed to SSH. And so if we are SSHing into these, we have, if we go back to the push, we have a little bit more control. You know, we can gain root access to do the things that we need to do. And we have full control over the system. Okay. So not only is there no service or daemon to manage or to go bad, we have full control over the system. Not only in that we can gain root access, but two circles. Not only that we can gain full access by sudoing to root, but also because there's no daemon sitting over top of everything. So there's not this extra service that we may not be able to manage in any different way. So yeah. All of our golden images are made using Ansible, Packer, Terraform, and CI/CD pipelines to get the image on the subscription current. Yeah, that's how you do it. That is how. Oh, using ants. Oh, that is Diginomicon. That's very interesting. It's very interesting that you are using. So in my mind, it sounds like you are using Ansible. Tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like you're using Ansible to actually have the full configuration, and I'm assuming that you're only using Packer, like the script, the configuration is described in Ansible rather than Packer. So I usually do my descriptions of the system in Packer, but it sounds like you're doing it in Ansible and using Packer to package up what's created from Ansible, and then using Terraform to get it out in a different place. That's pretty interesting. I've never done it that way. If I'm wrong, let me know. But yeah, can you share that last lines with us? I'm assuming you meant back on here on the pull section, and it just says interval config updates. So it can on an interval basis, on a cron, it can update at a set interval. Let's see. Realistically, how likely possible is it for someone to teach themselves basic coding, computer science skills to get some entry level certs? Oh, no name. Very possible. Very, very realistic. So one, there aren't many programming certs. So let's start with that. But for entry level, the entry level, the certification that you can get, things like AWS cloud certified cloud practitioner, and I forgot what the Azure one is called. Or if you want to grab some things like maybe so things like Network Plus will be a little bit tougher, but maybe even A Plus. 100% you could teach yourself that stuff. You can absolutely be self-taught to get those things for sure. um it's very likely. It really, I know it seems pretty crazy, especially if you dive straight into programming. It can seem really overwhelming, but it's very doable to get some of those entry level certifications for sure. Shop all the golden images were ghost images updated by updating re-imaging system. Yeah. That's trash. But yeah, I mean, most places these processes aren't great, so we've all been part of it for sure. Oh yeah, Black Eagle got it. Yep, it is certainly very possible. Just graduated college, and now I'm thinking I left the wrong degree. No. First off, you are having a degree is helpful. It's a tool. All certifications, degrees, all this stuff, they're just tools to get you in the door. You can use that to your advantage, no matter what your degree is in. That you can utilize that as a tool to get yourself in the door places. This stuff's cool too. What's exciting about it is it's a growing, all of it's growing. There's so many different places you can go in tech. Their jobs are growing for it. Take your time. It's always changing. So once you pick up the concepts, once you get the underlying concepts down, it kind of sucks because there's a new tool every 2 days. But you can certainly, you don't got to be you don't got to be that good to be 100% honest, and you can definitely make that move. This was baked in the mesh. Okay, all right, Diginomicon makes sense. I definitely got it. AZ900. Thank you, AU. Degrees definitely get you past the HR bots. They definitely can get you past them for sure. What's up, Dog 13 Garcia? Good to have you. Tire Salt. I love it. Exilus. Jake Cooks. What's that? Uber Andrew. Good to have you. Raizu. Arrow Knight. What's that? Kuna Matata. I like that. Kuna Matata. Welcome to the channel. Mabash, welcome. Ryan. Yeah, got y'all. Welcome to the channel. Good to have you all here. Love it. Last place, where is a good place to start? Well, no name. Phenomenal question. I think first, just do a little bit of exploration. I think anywhere you start's fine. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. Even if you want to start programming, I genuinely my new first place to tell people to start across the board, safe space to tell you to start, is to learn some Linux first. That's it's so you need it no matter what you choose. It's helpful no matter what you choose. So I say learn a little bit of Linux first, and then do a little bit of research to kind of figure out, hey, maybe programming isn't for you, but you should start diving into it a little bit because it's useful in all the fields. Maybe cloud stuff is where you want to go. Maybe you want to go more the infrastructure route. Maybe you want to go more towards the software testing route, where you still got to learn, programming and understand those things. Maybe you want to go more the design route. So design is very much. I've had this argument with tons of people about whether or not UX UI, whether or not design is part of tech, and I was like, what? Like, one of the most important pieces? Yeah, it is. Maybe you want to go the design route. It's a pretty, it's it's pretty tough. Maybe you want to go the management route. Maybe you want to lead technical projects instead. Maybe you want to deal with products. Maybe you want to be a product owner or product manager. There's a lot of different places. So I do a little bit of research to see where you think your skills will fit best and where you'd have the most interest. But start with Linux. I think it won't hurt you to start learning Linux, even if you never use it. It won't hurt you. Would you say Ansible facts are considered an advantage when working with systems you did not set up? Yes, definitely, Dorian. An advantage. Yeah, I would say they're an advantage. Yes. They give you the info. It's super helpful, and we're gonna look at Ansible facts in a second because we're about to hop into it. I did my master's on this. I compared Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Salt Stack, ease of use, cost and speed, config management is awesome. Whoa, that's dope. That's dope, Red. What did you come out with? What did you come out with? Like I said, I have the most experience with Chef. I understand why people are using Ansible. When we dive into Ansible, I will tell you why I believe Ansible has become the kind of huge front runner for configuration management. I've been doing an online course on Linux, and it's awesome. Yeah, everything runs on Linux. Most people don't know everything runs on Linux. Golden Image is simply a system that is pre-baked. So basically, basically you're building a template for what a system should look like that has all of the things that you need already installed. And so when you do actually create a server from this image, it already has everything that you need. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to set everything up. It's already configured on what you base everything off of. And so that's what a golden image would be. Just people who want to learn programming start with learning algorithms, which even doesn't need a computer. So yeah, Omer, I agree. So I agree in that I wouldn't use the word algorithms because then people are going to dive into, again, FANG company type stuff. But understanding how to work through problems is more so what I would say, which all solving algorithms really is. And you can do that with just a pen and paper. That's very true. Very, very true. Starting a channel, currently working as a business analyst at a software company. That's dope. Super helpful. Always love the technical side. Slowly learning programming, pick up SQL. Dope. If I should do basic programming course before I dive into Object, Pascal, Delphi. So I don't know that much about Pascal or Delphi. So I would say learn your basic programming there. I don't think it would hurt you to learn how to do basic programming concepts in other languages. Pretty much for the most part, across the board, programming concepts are transferable to other languages, to other frameworks. So I do think that would help. Do you need Ansible Tower? No. Paid version to try it in several servers, or free version is enough. Free version is enough. We're about to do the free version. So Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower offers you a couple different things. Ansible Tower offers you things like secrets management. Ansible Tower offers you things. Ansible Tower actually allows you to not have to know how to write Ansible configuration. You don't have to know how to write Ansible playbooks. You can visually create using this interface and a mouse and clicking around. You can visually create playbooks and to get programs installed in Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower is great. You absolutely do not need it. People generally are not going to pay you to understand how to build things in Ansible Tower. They're going to be paying you to understand how to create this configuration that we are going to learn how to create this week. Bootstrapping is simply the process of getting a server set up with all the tools and things that it needs to be able to run your application. So it's just getting all the stuff that all the dependencies and things that are needed to run your application, is getting all that stuff installed and set up so that it can run your application. Definitely the most lightweight, however, Puppet blows it out of the water for performance. Okay. Puppet is the fastest and most consistent. Salt is inconsistent. It can be great and easy to ramp up on, but the inconsistency is massive. Chef was a pain in the ass to set up. I agree with you. As someone who has the most experience with Chef, and even the recipes were harder than salt states and Ansible playbooks. Puppet methods are pretty similar to Chef. I agree. But once Chef is up and running, it's great tools to use and maintain. Man, I love that. That sounds like what I've come to. I haven't used Salt Stack very much, but that is absolutely how I feel. Yeah, that's absolutely how I feel. Okay, so let's actually get into doing some stuff with Puppet. Let's hop in and let's start building some things and seeing how it works. All right, so how are we gonna do this? Today I think we're gonna do. I think we should do exactly what we did last time. What we did last week with Terraform. I think tonight we're gonna do. I think I'm just gonna spin up some Linode servers really quick. If you want to do this, you can. One of the reasons is because I don't want you to have to worry about. I don't want you to have to worry about dealing with your keys, even though it's the same as dealing with your password. I think we'll do Linode tonight, and I think for our project that we do on Wednesday, we will use AWS for this. Doesn't really matter, but I think we can do that. I think that'll make sense. So let me first hold on. Let me move this over here so I can get set up and move all my stuff over. We shouldn't. We might burn JC. We might, but if we do, great. So part of the it's really funny because after that, someone reached out to me and was like, "Hey, like I know you know what you're doing, but maybe sometimes you should create some structured walkthroughs so that we can stay on time." And I was like, I hear you. And the thing is, I do agree with you. As someone who would love to ensure that we got out of here at the same time every day, I think that's great. I don't want these courses to be tutorials. All right. I don't want them to be tutorials. What do I mean by that? Tutorials. What they do is they start out with an end goal in mind, and the same way that we do here, they teach you the concept and they try to help you understand the concept. But oftentimes, what the tutorial does is it leads you straight down a specific path, and it becomes difficult to understand how to step out of the bounds of that. Also, when you're solely doing tutorials, you don't run into problems. And I think I think running into problems is one of the biggest things ever. What's interesting is like all of the mini topics that we do here. We do all the stuff. You're gonna do some of it. You're gonna do some of the stuff when you first join a company, like setting up a CI pipeline. Same thing we did. You might set up a CI pipeline. You might only work on getting that CI pipeline in place for a month, and that CI pipeline might be as much as you're ever going to need. And you guys might be able to utilize that, and the app is the only focus. You may never touch that pipeline again, and you may go somewhere else 3 years later and have to set up a new pipeline. You've done it before. You haven't touched it in a long time. And there will be things that come up and the situation will be different, and your understanding of what you need to set up is going to be very different. There are tutorials everywhere. You can find tutorials everywhere. I agree. Tutorials are great. I do tutorials all the time. But we will probably, until we start getting incredibly long in the tooth too many times, we probably won't do any super crazy structured tutorials. We'll learn the concepts and we'll hop in and we'll try to do it together. We'll try to make it work. I also want it to be different every time. I don't want to come in, you did the tutorial last time, and now, you still trying to understand what's going on and you come and do the exact same thing that you did before. Nah, I want time number 2. I want us to struggle in a completely different way than we struggled the last time, okay? That's what I'm looking for, okay? I want you to see it in a couple different lights. It becomes pretty helpful. What's up, Uber Hans? Good to have you. Clue J, welcome. Trent, welcome to the channel. Fooly, good to have you. Tiger Smith, welcome. So good to have all of you here. Welcome. All right, so let's do it. Let me hop into Linode. If you want to follow along tonight and do the same thing that I'm doing, you can use a VM. If you're comfortable with virtual machines, feel free to spin up whatever virtual machines you'd like to spin up. I'm going to use Linode servers tonight to do this. Because not their channel sponsor, but again, you get some free credits. I got some Linode free credits. It's also just much easier and quicker to get set up with an AWS. You all know I love AWS. I'm learning Azure. I love Azure too, but this much quicker to get set up with Linode, much easier, and won't cost me quite as much money. So I'm going to use Linode for that. You can click the little link below, get yourself $100 worth of free credits, never pay a dime for all of the things that we learned for a very, very long time. So feel free to follow along that way. We're going to hop in and do that. What's up, Jason? Tell you how much I appreciate the amount of work you put into your channel. I genuinely appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for saying those kind words to me. I hope, like again, I hope people are learning from it. I genuinely have a good time here. I learned a lot from you all. I seriously, the stuff I learned here, you all teach me a lot, and I take it straight back and I enact it and I put it into practice immediately. The stuff that you have taught me has saved me so much time. So I appreciate it. Again, I got to teach my wife the other day what you guys taught me about forward slashes versus backslash. Thank you. I'm never going to be more grateful to you all because I've looked it up like 10 times. I never remember it at all. As a fellow AWS DevOps, good to see more people that look like us in the field. Absolutely. Welcome. It's good to have you, Ohio. Good to see you. That's pretty dope. I'm so glad that you're here. Absolutely. It'll always be free. I'm not lying to you. It will always be free, and it will be better. It will be better. We do take a DevOps approach to this. There's a limited amount of time, unfortunately, but we're working on building capacity to make it better. The goal is to make it better every time, to make it more and more of a resource. Like it will be. I'm telling you, before this year's over, it will feel the boot camps. If you want that experience, if anyone does want the experience, it will feel like a complete school. It will feel like a complete boot camp. It will feel like a 100% complete. I paid thousands of dollars for this boot camp. Before the year's over, it will feel like that. I'm promising you that. Just there's a lot in there, but it's gonna happen. Definitely gonna happen. I really could have linked people on this page. No, 100% link complete link here. If you want people to come here, link the site. You can either link here or you can link them to academy.mastermind.io because that's where they can find out more information about what this is and what we're going to be doing. But yeah, link them right here. Completely fine. Is it easier to set up Ansible via Docker or traditional Linux VM? Definitely a traditional Linux VM. Well, I wouldn't say definitely. If you are very familiar with Docker and you're very familiar with the networking concepts that you're going to need to be able to connect with those properly, that is, then I would say you can use Docker. It is completely fine to use Docker, but because containers are a little bit different, you might run into some problems, especially networking wise. But if you understand that, you can absolutely use those containers. All the pros and cons for this are simply that containers are you're generally not going to run Ansible like this against a container. Yeah. Burning JC, thank you for the love. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you for helping wage the war on advertisements. All the people who received a sub, thank you, Gifter. Thank Burning JC so much for the love and for the support, and that you don't have to watch any more ads. Phenomenal. What's up, CS Cordero? We are simply learning Ansible. So tonight we're not building anything in particular. We're going to learn how Ansible works starting right now for the next hour. We're going to get Ansible set up. We're going to start writing Ansible playbooks, start understanding what it looks like and how it does work. Did you talk about the language these configuration management tools are written in? Does it make a difference in choice? Yeah, that's a good one. So first, I'm gonna create 3 Linodes really quick. And while they're being built, that's a phenomenal question, Aya. Let's talk about that. Those. You know what? We definitely should. Great questions. I don't know why I didn't include that. What's up, Shragul? Thank you so much for resubbing. I appreciate that. D. Russ, thank you so much for the follow. Good to have you here. Well, Ansible, let's talk about that. I'm going to spin up some Ubuntu systems. I'm going to do Ubuntu 20.04. I'm always going to do 20.04 until the next LTS comes out. I am an LTS fan, long-term support version. Very, very helpful. I'm going to choose Newark, New Jersey, because that is the physical closest location to me. I'm going to do the nanodes, the $5 Linode. That's all you need. You don't need anything more, just the $5 one. And I'm going to call it Ansible 1. Oh, check that out. Did y'all just see that? I typed in the word Ansible without making a single mistake, okay? I know y'all saw that. For everyone who's new to the channel, I'm a terrible typist because I have fat fingers. I got a new keyboard, which made me an even worse typist. I'm a good typist if I'm looking at the keyboard, but I'm touch typing. I'm learning how to be a touch typist. And, I typed it in good there. But then the page refreshed. Oh, no. So now I got to do it again. Ansible. Oh, no. I messed it up. I talked too soon. All right, Ansible 1. There we go. I need to give it a password. Don't look at my password. I'm not going to use a suggested password. I cannot. So I'm not good with passwords on this keyboard. Uh, okay. I'll make it fair. If I make it too hard, I'll mess it up too many times. And I'll create this one. Okay. Region, New Jersey. I'm going to make 3 of these. Why am I going to make 3? I'm going to make 3 because Ansible is designed to help you manage fleets of systems. Okay, it really helps you with fleets of systems. So that's going to be 1. How do I make a copy of this? I'm just going to clone this. Same thing, same region, same thing. I mean, I should just went to a new one, and we'll do Ansible 2. All right, and we'll create this one. Same password and SSH keys. That's fine. I can't create it until it is till the first one is set up. All right, so back to Aya's question about language choice and what you use. So, Puppet, the way that we describe what we want, the way that we create our configuration in Puppet, Puppet has its own DSL, its own domain specific language that you must learn. Okay, Puppet is Ruby based. Pretty sure it's Ruby based. I think maybe I'm wrong there. I can't remember. It's either Ruby or Python based, but pretty sure it's Ruby based. Ruby based, but it has its own domain specific language that you must learn. It's pretty simple. Well, it's not a very tough configuration language. I think it's reasonable to approach, but it is something that you have to pick up and that you have to learn. And you can, because it's built in Ruby, there are some ways you can insert some raw Ruby code in there, and great, it works pretty well. So that is a consideration. So the way that it used to work is that Chef is also has its own domain specific language, okay? But it's also built in on Ruby, and it's much more it's much more closely related to Ruby in the way that it's written and what you can do with it. You can also write raw Ruby code much more easily as a part of Chef. So the way that people used to approach it is, for a long time, Puppet was the choice for systems administrators because it didn't feel quite as codey. It didn't feel quite as software development-y to do Puppet. So Puppet was the big dog on the sysadmin side of things, and Chef was also big, but it was generally chosen by people who were managing systems who were coming from a development background. It was a little bit easier for them to hop into. Like I said, they both have their own domain-specific languages, but one was a little bit more Ruby-based and a little bit more comfortable for developers in the way that you describe things, the way that you created different things inside of it. Ansible, on the other hand, and the number one reason why I think Ansible took off as it's the de facto tool right now. Like, Ansible is what so many people are using. It's definitely the big dog in town, and it's because of their choice to use YAML. We've been talking about YAML a lot, but yes, YAML is the language of choice, and it's not a language. It's been the configuration tool of choice for this. What's great about this is that so many other DevOps tools or infrastructure tools have also chosen YAML as their configuration framework of choice. So once you YAML's really nice because it's just keys and values, and it's just structured in a certain way. And once you kind of understand it, it's relatively easy to move to a new tool that uses it. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest reasons people kind of took it on. The other reason is because the way that it enacts things does feel it feels a lot more. It feels like configuration. It feels a lot more like configuration than coding. And I think that's another reason why the people who were closest to the system felt like this was very comfortable. So they took that on. Also, it's owned by Red Hat. Red Hat bought them, and it's owned by Red Hat. And people know Red Hat's a big company. People know Red Hat. Yeah, and agentless. Agentless, I think, is probably the third. I think it's probably number 3 on the list. We talked about that. There's no daemon, no agent, so you don't have to install this running process that can break on a system. There's no agent for the systems that you want to manage with this thing, and it's it's a big deal. I think that's number 3 to why it's so big, not why people choose it. I think people choose it a lot of the times. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people choose it, but I don't think that's why it got super large. I think it has to do with the choice of YAML, and I think YAML and the design decisions for implementation personally are why I think it got so big. It doesn't feel like coding. Do you have the market share for all config management for Linux? I don't. I don't have it. But I'm very confident that Ansible has the most market share, probably followed by Puppet. Puppet's old. Puppet's like the OG. So I wouldn't be surprised if Puppet has a lot closer than I thought to Ansible. But Ansible has kind of taken over in the last few years for sure. Um, yeah, and then probably followed by Chef. SaltStack's probably pretty low on the list, to be honest, but I could be completely wrong. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I don't have any hard facts to support that. This is all going off of my industry data checker that I've consolidated in my head. It's called machine learning, and it's all done right here. Puppet also uses the envelope, so it does. Or maybe that's a new thing. So maybe we should go look that up. Maybe Puppet did also make a switch to YAML. When I was using Puppet, which was years ago, Puppet was not using YAML. Yes, YAML was there for things that you could do, but Puppet was using its own domain-specific language for you to do things. Does Ansible have similar problems that Kubernetes does? If so, any thoughts on the differences? So they definitely solve different problems. What do you mean by problems that Kubernetes does? Um, I would say no, because of I think their use cases are almost entirely different. Almost. It's called Hira and Puppet. Okay. The problem is you have to learn Hira and YAML and Puppet DSL to deal with Puppet. Exactly. Exactly. I being bought Red Hat. That's another big reason why people, so many companies got on that train. No one wants to maintain agents. True. True. Definitely true. What other DevOps tools use YAML? So things like CloudFormation, things like Docker Compose, there's a lot of container orchestration tools. Kubernetes uses YAML. Like really, very very many DevOps tools use YAML for the way that they are configured. A lot of tons of AWS tools, tons of like cloud tools, a lot of stuff in Azure as well uses YAML for its configuration. I think Ansible is 41% and Chef and Puppet are 37%. Got that from Medium, but I'm not sure accurate. So yeah, that sounds right. Puppet in the early days did not scale well. Fair. Yeah. Let's see. Are we creating 2 or 3 Linodes? I'm gonna create 3 if it ever works. Let's see. It's still cloning. Cloning seems to take a while. I could have just created a brand new one, which I'll do. I'm gonna create 3. Let's go with one more. And I'll just do it manually since cloning seems to take a little while. And let on label Ansible. Let's change that to Ansible 3. There we go. No tags. Hold up. I gotta make sure I type it in right because it doesn't ask for you to confirm. So I need to make sure that I typed it in correct the first time. And now I have 3 of them there. Datadog uses YAML, yeah. Not really problems per se. I meant like same use cases. Definitely different use cases. So yeah, Kubernetes is designed specifically around containers and orchestrating containers. And so I do think that there is some. I do think there is some overlap there in their design, their use case of orchestrating the management of systems and services. The problem, the issue is that one is specifically around those containers and the other one is around the configuration of the system itself. But they are a bit of they can be used both as orchestration tools. But Kubernetes definitely has more of those orchestration paradigms inside of it. Ansible comes on Fedora on Ansible Wiki. Yes. That is because Fedora is Red Hat. It is Red Hat, so it's in there. Serverless framework too. Serverless framework is phenomenal. It's really good. But now that I've learned a little bit more about AWS CDK, I got to do some comparisons. I got to do a little bit of. It's nice. I love Lambdas. I love serverless. As someone who loves containers, who loved containers. Well, I still love containers. I'm a serverless over containers any day right now, if possible. That doesn't always work, but serverless over containers any day. I am a big serverless fan. Do you plan on using your own machine as the control node or one of the three? I'm going to use my own machine as one of the control nodes. My own machine. Ansible for Kubernetes. That sounds cool. All right, so let's hop into some Ansible installation. Okay, let's hop into some Ansible installation and configuration to get set up. So Ansible, because it is agentless, you don't have to worry about getting all these three systems set up. You don't got to do none of that. You don't got to do no setting up of those systems. You only have to get your control node configured, your main server, your leader, whatever we're calling it. You only have to get that set up right now, and it is pretty easy to get installed. So I'll paste this, and it allows you to install it on just about everything here. And not just about everything. I think it is everything. As long as it's Windows on here. I don't see Windows on here, but whatever. I'm not installing on Windows, but you know, I don't see it there. But you can get it installed on anything. Pretty easy to do. Not some fancy install process. You should just be able to have to do an apt install or a yum install and get it installed. So I'm going to log into my, our development server that we're usually working off of really quick. And we can get going with this. Come on, come on, come on. The other problem that I've been having, just for you for you keyboard nerds, is that the issue that I've been having with these new switches is the actuation point is at a much higher point than my other keyboard. So like usually if I start to make a mistake on the other keyboard and I half press a key or like a quarter press a key, it won't register, which is helpful. Now, if I half press a key, it's gonna register, and it's been messing up my my stuff. IP leaked. No, this is but this is, you can have this. This is my system, and I'm going through what's that thing called? I'm using, what is the VPN called? The VPN. What's the one I'm using? I'm using Nord. I am using Nord as well. So booyah, I learned my lesson. I've leaked it on here a lot of times, but you all can have you can all have my system stuff here. You all can see, here you go. You guys want my Linode stuff right there? You can have that one too. Whatever, we get around it. We're pros here. We've leaked our IP on here many times. All right, we can't be stopped. You can't hurt people. I've been hurt. You can't hurt me again. Okay. All right, leak it. I'll just call Comcast and I'll just whine a little bit and they'll give me another one. All right, come on, Bitcoin here, come. Actually, I'm not. See, the thing is, I'm not even gonna joke with you guys. Some of you out there are really good at what you do. All right, me over here, I'll shut this whole thing down. I'll move. I don't care. I'm not afraid of you. I will move to get away from you. All right, so just leave me alone. All right. Just leave me alone. Okay, so let's do this. This is gonna be my main machine. I'm gonna get it all set up right now. And we're gonna get going. So I'm gonna install Ansible. This is still this is a Fedora system because again, you all made me do that. If it's Comcast, you change the Mac in them. Perfect. Got a new IP. That might work a little bit differently, but again, I am going through this machine that you're seeing in front of you is going through a NordVPN. All right, so I'm gonna install it here because you all made me use Fedora. I usually don't use Fedora, but I have to say, I've been using it for a while and I'm cool with it. I'm definitely cool with it. All good. Just we're here. We're there. I was gonna fix it, but I've kind of stuck along with it. I'm gonna go into our pipelines folder, or maybe we don't have a pipelines folder. Oh, it's right there in front of my face. Oh no. All right, there we go. Okay. Oh, that's Terraform stuff in there. Nope. We'll just go back and we'll make an Ansible folder. Oh, I'm killing the game. I'm almost killing the game. There we go. Let's go in that Ansible folder and let's get started. So first, let's install it. So I'm going to do I'm already root, so I'm just going to do a yum install Ansible, and we are going to get this installed. I don't have Ansible installed at all. I'm not even sure this is the way that you do it, but I'm pretty sure it's the way that you do it. If I would have just went here, it would have told me to use DNF. But I told you, I'm a boomer. I'm a boomer. My muscle memory will not allow me to type DNF in. Luckily, because they know boomers like me are going to be doing this, it's going to automatically do the yum for me. Okay. I love how you LS immediately getting into a brand new directory. Joe Flew, bad habit that I have never gotten out of. Yes, if I hit enter, no matter where I change the directory to, no matter where I go, if I know exactly where I am, immediately my fingers will LL and I'll hit enter every single time. Every single time. Never. Like it won't allow me not to. Yeah, like I said, my very first position was I was Linux server support. So I worked at a web hosting company and I was in Linux all day, command line only. And I learned it there and I never stopped doing it. Got to know what's there, even when I know exactly what's there. See, I just did it again out of habit. I was like, oh, what's here? I don't know. So Ansible's installed. I actually don't need to know I actually don't need to do anything else. Really, I don't need to do anything else to configure what I need to do. Okay, there's nothing else that needs to happen here once it gets installed. There is additional configuration that you can do. There is an Ansible configuration file that allows for lots of changes and stuff. We don't need to touch none of that tonight. We're going to keep it super chill. We are going to simply get started with this. And so I'm not really going to, I'm going to use the guide as a guide, but I'm probably not going to go over a lot of the stuff here. I want you to see the guide. I want you to, be able to go through it, but we're going to talk about this stuff. The very first thing that we are going to do is, now that we have Ansible installed, one, we already know that the thing that we're going to be writing is going to be YAML files. That's what we're going to use to describe our configuration. But what I drew on, where did my pen go? Remember what I drew on this one right here? On this picture right here, I drew this inventory file. Okay, we need to make sure that we have an inventory created. Okay, right now as it sits is I'm going to use my own computer as the as that leader node, that master node, the main node, the one that's going to be controlling everything, the controller. So I need to tell my computer where everything's at. So the first thing you need to know is that all the configuration stuff is, if I go into cd etc Ansible, okay, when you install Ansible by default, everything is going to go into /etc/Ansible, or the stuff that you care about. All right. And we're going to take a look at what's in here. We have a couple of different files. We have the Ansible Cfg. Let's it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's take a look at Ansible Cfg and take a look. So there's a bunch of stuff here. We can change where certain things are. We can change where our inventory is, which you're about to learn about. We can change the library. We can change where all this different stuff is. We can set a lot of defaults, in configuration. Remember, we talked about before with Linux, everything in Linux is simply files and folders, and it's files, folders, and executables, okay? And if you ever want to make some changes to something, if you ever want to know how to make something be better or do what you need to do, there's likely a configuration file for it somewhere. And this configuration file has a lot of cool things in it that you may need to change or that you would want to do. That's where it is. Everything's in Ansible. All right. But what else do we have in here? We have a hosts file. Let's take a look at the hosts file. The host file, this is where our inventory is set up. This is where we map. This is where we keep track of all of the servers and all the systems that our Ansible control environment is supposed to be controlling. Okay, this is it's a very important file. This is the thing that you must update when new servers are dynamically configured and created. You must update this file right here. Okay. And so it's just like your, very similar to your system's own host file. Super helpful, really nice. And you can use whatever web address you want to use. You can use IP address, you can use domain name if you do have those things set up. So let me show you a little bit how this might work. You can leave everything in here by default. What I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna pull off this. You can set up hosts individually like this up here. So right here on this line, if I wanted to manage green.example.com, if I own that server, if that domain name was pointing to a server that I owned, I would put that right there, just like in a host file. I would just stick it right there. And now that is a part of my inventory. And whenever I go to push, remember, Ansible has a push model, a push configuration management model. So when I tell it to go push out updates, it will push it to the host that I tell it to push out to. But I need to save my host here. And again, ungroup hosts specified before any group headers. Great, phenomenal. But down here is how you can do collections. All right. So maybe I'm managing different types of servers, because almost always you will be managing different types of servers that have different configuration and they need to be managed in different ways. Maybe you're running some web servers, maybe you're running some database servers, maybe you're managing some storage servers. And so you could group them together. So I could put underneath this web servers heading, I could put all of the systems that I consider to be web servers. And underneath, I could make a new heading a little bit below this. And, I could have a whole collection of database servers and have it under here. And so it helps you be able to manage your inventory a bit and group them together so that they can be pretty helpful. Okay. So, definitely helpful. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Sorry. That's actually a really bad habit of mine. It's I'm not going to save this right now. Hold on. We're going to come back into this in a second. Alias. How do you just see an alias? If I just do alias LL, yeah, this is my LL alias. It comes by default on a lot of systems, not all of them. People see me type in LL and it confuses them. I use LL because it's much faster to type than LS-LH. And so long lists, and it makes it human readable version. So this is not usually my LL command. My LL command usually also has whatever, someone tell me if you know what it is. Maybe it's a G. Hold on, let me see. LS-LHG. No. A. No. A. No. Definitely not A. Let me try. I don't know what it is. I'll man it in a second. But my favorite LS command is this. The only other change is I like to append. Types here. So because it's a directory, it will visually show me that it'll show a slash, a forward slash at the end of here to let me know that it is a directory. That is very helpful visually for me. It helps me out a lot. Dash F. Let's see. There we go. I love this. I didn't know I loved it until I was using a system that had LL aliased with the F on there already, and then I lost it. And visually, it's helpful right now because this system automatically makes these things blue. But on systems where you don't have this, the slash is incredibly helpful. And you'd be surprised at how you can get used to something like that to be visual indicators to what you're doing. And it slowed me down substantially whenever I didn't have this. Now, not so much, but I do like to append that there. Pretty helpful. All right, so let's go ahead and let's set up our host file. How do we set up our host file? Well, let's go over here to our Linode dashboard so that we can see our Linodes real quick. And we have Ansible 1, Ansible 2, Ansible 3. So Ansible 2 is having a tough time. Do I have to power it on first? And let's go ahead and get those added to our inventory. First thing we want to do is set up our inventory. So let's go ahead and set up /etc Ansible. Don't mess with your host file. Mess with Ansible /etc/Ansible/hosts. And let's begin to mess with this file. Now, I'm going to make these a group right now. I'm going to start with line 20. You don't have to use this line. You can type it in if you want. You just got to put it in brackets down here. But on line 20, I'm going to set up the web server area, and I'm going to add in. I'm not even going to add in the IP address. Let's take this a little bit further. I'm going to say Ansible. I'm going to call one Ansible Web 1 because I want to refer to these later anyway. So I'm going to set up Ansible Web 1. Yank, paste, Web 2, and Web 3. All right. Ansible Web 1, Ansible Web 2, Ansible Web 3. Very, very nice. But you might say, hey, how in the world is that going to work? You don't have domain names for these servers. Well, exactly, I don't. But this is where our system host file can come in. This is something we talked about earlier in this course, using our own host file, understanding how that works, using internal DNS to kind of set this up. So real quick, I'll go back in here. This is what my current host file looks like. You don't have to do this. All right. You can instead, you don't even have to do this. You can add the IP addresses if you want. If you want to just grab those IP addresses and stick them in there, you can in fact do that, no problem. All right, have a good time. Dash F also adds, add to links. Yeah, super helpful. Oh, CD to CD dash I. Interesting. That's very interesting. You can add inventory variables. Yeah, yes, you can add inventory variables to the Ansible. Yeah, you can. So we're going to dive into today. We're going to do some very light stuff. We are definitely going to dive deeper into all of what there is. The same kind of thing we did with Terraform, except we will probably actually do what we do on Wednesday in conjunction with Terraform, to be 100% honest. Just because server configuration, unless you already have like a robust application, it's kind of par for the course, to be honest. But you'll see it shortly. You'll see it shortly. All right, so now we're gonna manage our own systems host file really quick. So we're gonna save this, and let's go ahead and set up our own system host file at sehost. Remember, this is gonna be the file that allows us to override DNS or allow for DNS lookups. And so what we're gonna do is right underneath here, we are going to go ahead and paste in some things. So we have Ansible 1, Ansible 2, Ansible 3 right here in Linode. I'm gonna grab this IP address. And so this IP address right here is gonna be mapped to Ansible, come on, web 1. All right, and we'll grab the next IP address. This one right here. This one is gonna be mapped to Ansible web 2. And then we'll grab the last one here, which is gonna be mapped to Ansible web 3. All right, so we'll do that right there. And now we've created, we're just utilizing some of the other things that we've learned so far in this course. We are utilizing our own internal DNS lookup. Remember, for DNS, whenever you're trying to translate a domain name to an IP address, it will look locally first. This host file will allow you to override or to specify what that DNS mapping is. And so we're mapping these to this. So when Ansible tries to do it, it'll look up Ansible Web 1, Ansible Web 2, and Ansible Web 3, and it'll know where to go with these things. All right. What's up, Bash Andel? Welcome, T. Dilla. Good to have you. Evelyn, the creator. It's good to have you, Brisbane. Phenomenal to see you here. Exodent Prime. Welcome. Come on in. Good to have you. All right. So we got this all set up here. I'm going to save it. And now we are really set up to go about writing our very first kind of setup here, our own starter guide here. So let's take a look at what they're going to have us doing. I'm very interested to actually see what they have in their own getting started guide. I'm not gonna lie, this looks very wordy to me, and I don't like it. I don't like how wordy this looks in here. But let's begin creating our own stuff. I want to see if they had a nice little a nice little starter for us to start building off of. I love starters. So I think I told Joe before. I like starter. I like stub code. I really love stub code. I think it's one of the more helpful things. I wish that companies would start giving more and more, just like, hey, here's a very basic example of this common thing that you do. When you type in a whole lot and realize you're in read only mode in Vim, do it all the time, AF. I do it all the time. Okay, so I'm going to click on, this is actually pretty trash, but okay, whatever. Let's hop into an actual playbook. Let's make our first YAML file really quick, and we will begin to do what we need to do. So the first thing we want to do is we would like to create a file, and I'm going to call this one, I'll call it web servers .yaml. So a lot of times you're going to call it whatever it is that you're going to use this file to get installed. Okay. A lot of times you're like, if you're installing if this playbook right here is going to be Nginx, we would use Nginx. So we'll dive deeper into these concepts on Wednesday, but really these playbooks are made up of things called modules, and modules are little individual little executable pieces of configuration for Ansible. And so we're going to create these playbooks that are going to tell that not only are we going to set up, we're not only going to tell the system what things we want, we're also going to tell the system what state we would like them to be in. And so let's get that done right now. First thing you're going to do at the very top is you're going to throw in these 3 little lines here. Now, I'm not 100, so I've never been told what these things are. I've never not seen them before. So what I'm pretty sure is, because I've seen files I've seen playbooks with multiple of these sections in there, and these seem to break up. It seems to be that it allows you to break up either this into bigger modules or to different playbooks. But these little dashes here are denoting, hey, this is the beginning of your file. You're ready to go. This is the beginning of the configuration that you're about to tell me about. And so we can put that there. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to change the file name also from YAML to YAML. I know that's kind of weird, but although YAML is the language spec, YAML is the YAML language spec. Usually in most configuration languages, in most DevOps tooling, and most things, people actually, this will work. I'm pretty sure YAML will work, but I want you to do it how most people are going to do it and how you're going to see it. And I don't want you to be confused when you see just the YML ending. They both work, but we're going to change that to YML just to kind of stay a little bit better there. I had a battle the other day with Vim registers, went down a rabbit hole. Your boy doesn't know anything about that much about Vim registers at all. So I would go down, a hole as well. What's up, Sin City? Are we using password? We're using passwords. We're gonna use password auth today. State confusion. I get it. We'll clear it up. Dash means start a document. Great. You can use dash to separate multiple YAML documents into one file. Yeah. Okay. I have never seen that in any other YAML file, so I didn't know anything about that. So, helpful for me. But dash is what we're going to have here. And then we're going to set up the top header piece up here is going to be where we're going to set up, we're going to start the setup of our configuration file. I'm going to have to look up what everything that goes here. I'm going to go off of memory a little bit here. We're going to set up the name of what we set up, okay? That might be supposed to be ending it. I'll go look it up in a second. But we're going to set up the name of what we want to kind of happen here. We're also going to set up the different ways to how we want to authenticate. We're going to set up whether or not we need to become the root user. We're going to set up a bunch of different things in the header of this thing. You entered the YAML file rather than the YAML one. I moved it. I thought I moved it. Did I copy it or did I move it? Oh, I created a brand new one. Okay, I got you. Thank you. Wait, let me just make sure. Okay, good. I didn't save it, so good. I thought it just, okay. There we go. Good looking out, y'all. I appreciate that. It would have bothered me for a little bit. YAML and YAML can both be YAML files. Yep, they can. They 100%. They're interchangeable. Like I said, I used to have a lot of like YAML. If you look up YAML, YAML is the language spec, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Who was that? What's up, Ikuri? Welcome to the channel. Chris, I don't think I got you last time, but if I didn't, welcome to the channel. I'm amazed we're still using 3-character file extensions for everything. Thanks, Bill Gates. Bill Gates did a lot for us. Also, I encourage you all to, I'm going to grab Bill Gates' new book. He has a new book. He's trying to warn us about what we're doing to the world. Okay. I'm going to read it. Bill Gates, he's done a lot. Even if you don't like the 3-character file extensions, it is what it is. What's up, Tariq? All right. And so the first thing we're going to set up is the name. And there are a number of options that can go up here. for what we're gonna do. Let me. I think well, here's what we're gonna do. Ansible example config. This is what we're gonna do. Just so you all know I be messing up everything. So let's just take an example one. No, not a config file. Example playbook. Let's just take a very simple one, and we'll add in the things that we need to add in. Intro to playbooks. Maybe this one's a little bit better. I really want them to okay, here we go. So they got this up here. Remember I told you the top part. Let's break down what it is. They have the top part up here, which is going to be the name. Then it's going to be the files, or not files. It's going to be the systems in which you want to manage. So the hosts. I could pass in a collection of individual hosts if I would like. But this is where those collections matter the most. Remember how we set up those web servers? You can call it whatever you want. We can define that this playbook takes care of whatever hosts we wanted it to take care of. I could also pass in a collection of different collections here, okay? So I could specify more than just one of those collections. Maybe I want to apply this to both the database servers and the web servers. Very, very helpful. Remote user root. So remember, I said that Chef Puppet utilize HTTPS, and I think they have some other options nowadays. But this utilizes SSH. It uses secure shell. It logs into the systems and manages them. This is why it doesn't need a daemon at all. Okay, it doesn't need any type of service. Doesn't need an agent to be running because it's going to log in. And so we tell it what to log in as. What user do we want to authenticate as? And so right now it's going to be the root user. So let's get our setup the same way that this is set up. And so name, you can call it whatever you want. This is going to be descriptive of what this thing is. And we'll call this pipeline's getting started. Whatever. This is a dumb name, but just putting something up here. And we're practicing typing. Started. Ooh. And then we're gonna tell it our host that we want to mess with here. The O key bothers me a lot, if I'm gonna be honest with you. And our host. I think we called it just web_servers. Is that what we called it? Or is it web-servers? Let's find out. Ansible hosts. Oh, web servers, one word. Okay. So let's do F_. There we go. All right, host there, and let's go remote user, and we are going to go root as well. All right, and then there is another setting. I want to say it's become, and we'll set that equal to true. So what this last one is going to be, well, I'm logging in as root. Basically you still kind of need this sometimes. It's kind of weird. Typo in remote user. Thank you. We make a lot of those. So this actually has changed in the spec. Become might be not the right key. I'll figure it out in a second. But generally, you're not going to log in as root all the time. I actually advise against root. You should log in as the user that you're going to need to do the specific actions that you're calling in this playbook. A lot of people log in as root. That it is what it is. But you should try not to whenever possible. But a lot of times when you want to install something, a lot of times when you want to move something to certain places, we got to think about what we're doing with Linux. So this tool is basically gonna automate the things that we could do manually. All right, and when you're installing something, when you're moving something to a special place, you might have to, elevate your privileges. You usually using sudo, and so you could the way that you tell this thing to become root is either with this become keyword. It might be something different. Let's find out. Let's see. Ansible sudo privilege escalation. There's like 2 or 3 different ways to do it, I think. Become directives. Here we go. So become, set it to yes. Okay. Become user. Set user with desired privileges to user you become, not the user you're logged in as. Okay. So become yes is a thing. Become method. There's a couple different ways to do it. So I'm gonna do become yes. There's also a true and false one. I'll figure out what that is in a second. But I'm just gonna do become yes really quick. just to kind of show you what that is. And sometimes even when you are logged in as a root user, there are still issues in execution. Really weird. I haven't figured out why that is yet. I don't use Ansible enough to know why, but it happens. It happens to the best of us. Okay. Sudo has an argument limit. I found out today. I had to be root to ingest 6,500 files was said. Very interesting. I did I know that? Is it sudo or is it a shell capacity? Interesting. Also, six. I'm interested. Okay, you can. I mean, that's very interesting. What did you? How did you get around that? Did you just loop through? Did you loop through instead and read? Read and execute on individual ones. I don't understand. Doesn't remote user use sudo? Why would you have to be use become? So you should be right. You should 100% be correct because our remote user is root. It should work. I've run into multiple instances where the execution does not work. I'm not sure why. I'm not 100% sure why. You shouldn't have to become. We might not need that directive at all now. I'm only going off of the things that I know. That's why they're not showing this example. I'm coming at you from life. All right, I'm coming at you from real life and what I've seen before. And even with this remote user set to root, I've seen it not be able to have the privileges to execute commands to install certain things. So maybe we don't need it. Maybe I'll leave it off for now. We'll see. We'll see if it happens real time. I don't know. I was looping through, but then I found out that I could just be root and run set on the glob that matched the file pattern. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. All right, so let's do this. So now that we have some things set up, there's more that we can add here. So also things like variables we can stick up here. We'll get there. But there's a lot of different things that can go up in this header kind of space up here. After that, on this top level, after you get past that, the tasks are where you are going to define the things that you want to do. So this is kind of like those kind of like resources in Terraform when we were kind of describing what we wanted. This is kind of the same thing here. So we are now going to instead try to we're not going to instead try to so it doesn't become true. All right, I think that's what I had it to become true. But then when I went there, it said yes. Didn't it just say yes when we were looking at? I don't know. Become yes. Oh, 2.3. Let's see. Privilege escalation. Yeah. Now this one says true. Yeah. Your boy just doesn't always know. It's okay. Not a big deal. We'll figure it out in a second. Let's create a task. So a task is going to be the things that you want to happen. All right. So let's go ahead and start up an area for tasks now, and it's going to be indented a little bit here. Tasks, and that actually does need to be indented. And let's take a look at the example that they've given. Okay. The example that they've given here is they give it a name. And this task is ensure Apache is at the latest version. Okay. And take a look at this. You might see something weird here. They are not simply executing Linux commands against this. They are utilizing some internal functionality, some kind of internal classes and things that exist within Ansible for us to be able to do some cool stuff. Ansible has a kind of yum module. It has a way for you to utilize the yum package manager or app. It has a way for you to utilize a lot of the common package managers. And so it's calling yum here. And this block right here says, go ahead and use the yum package manager to install a package by the name of HTTPD. And the state is going to be the latest. So that's the version that it's going to grab. And this always ensures that we're at the latest version. This right here is a complete and functional task. That is all we would need to make this thing work. So let's take this one. Let's see what happens with it. Let's figure out what's going on and let's see how it works. And then we'll keep going on. We'll keep moving past that. How is Ansible compatibility on Windows machines? I don't know. Let's see. Does Ansible work on Windows? Obviously people want to know. No, Ansible cannot run on a Windows host and can only manage. Oh, so it can manage Windows hosts. Ansible can be run on a Windows subsystem. So it can't. So you can't use. It looks like you can't use Ansible to push to anything at all. But it sounds like you can. It sounds like Windows host can be the target. So it sounds like I would be able to push updates out to Windows machine, but I couldn't do it from a Windows machine. Yeah, Windows subsystem for Linux. I sometimes I hate when they word it like this, because Windows subsystem for Linux is just Linux. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the Windows subsystem for Linux is not supported by Microsoft. What? Yeah, it is. Or Ansible, and should not be used for production systems. This line right here doesn't make any sense to me. The Windows subsystem for Linux is not supported by Microsoft. I'm not sure that they meant to say that. Can you run Ansible on Windows WSW? Yeah, you can. You can. Well, why did they say this? I, okay, whatever. That's not. It's not really important. I just don't understand. I don't understand that line right there. But cool. So yes, that there we go. There's Windows compatibility right there. It can allow you to do stuff. I think they mean support in the production sense. Sure. Okay, that's fair. I guess. Yeah. Not viable for production uses. Okay, which is fair. That is very fair. That's very fair. Might have been the Linux OS you install is not supported by Microsoft. The Linux OS. That's actually a good point. Because the Windows subsystem, that's a really good point. The Windows subsystem is simply the kernel itself. Those operating systems you install are not supported by Windows. You're absolutely correct by that legendary move. Okay, there we go. There we go. You are SSH into the instance, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's a video on the right hand, guys, doing Ansible demo. Yeah, WSL2 is dope. I love it. All right, that makes sense. Poorly worded. I agree. Definitely poorly worded. All right, so let's go ahead and let's use their example first, and let's build off of their example to make sure that we have stuff going. So we're gonna set up our name, and then we're gonna use not yum, but we are instead going to use apt because we are using an Ubuntu server. And so let's set that up right now, and let's put it side by side just to make sure we can see what's going on here. Make sure that we get our levels right. If you're new to YAML, remember YAML is YAML, very much like Python, is white space configured. It uses space. It uses tabs and spaces for scoping. This is where it can get really weird. So usually it's pretty helpful if you can have your editor set up to be able to clearly see spacing and stuff like that. We've run into problems on the stream. You will run into YAML spacing and scoping issues. So, just be careful with it. It's not incredibly difficult to learn, but it'll happen, especially when you copy and paste. That's the reason I'm not going to copy and paste this code. I'm simply going to type it in because it can be pretty darn problematic with whatever we want to do. What's up, Rev Smack? What's up, Yazuk Laren? Good to have you. What's up, Sheen? Welcome to the channel. What's up, Akan? It's good to have you. All right. Shouldn't task be the same level as name? Yeah, it should. There we go. It should, and then we get a little dash here. So right now my editor is doing some like random automatic stuff, but that might be because of the way that I have Commander Completion installed. I wonder if that's having anything to do with it. But oh well. So we'll do name, and we'll ensure that Apache is installed. I'm just gonna say install Apache latest version. Okay. Now we're gonna talk about why they called it what they called it. All right, because notice how they said ensure Apache is on the latest version. That's a very good wording and kind of understanding of the way these things are set up. So I don't know this to be true, but I'm pretty sure the way that we just use the apt tooling is to call apt the same way, and I think we can do the exact same thing. If I remember correctly, I could be remembering incorrectly. We can do the exact same thing, and I'll add a name and state, and this is all we'll do for now. So add a name, we'll add a state. The name is different for Apache from different types of Linux systems. This is something you'll pick up over time. Package names being different. It is HTTPD on on Red Hat systems if we were using Yum, but on here, it should be Apache 2. I'm pretty sure is the setup here. And what was their state? They just wanted it installed. Oh, they wanted latest. They wanted latest there. All right, and so this is the way that we describe what we want on the system. So this task right here is saying, hey, utilizing the app package manager, I want to make sure that the Apache 2 package is there. The latest package is there, is up, and is available. Okay. If you don't know, you can just use package. I didn't know anything about that. That's helpful as well. Mine is doing it too on a fresh. Oh, what's happening here? Oh, okay, gotcha. The indentation and stuff. You can just use. Wait. Hey, tell me more about this. This tilde package thing. I don't know anything about that. This Ansible has defaults for some of these, like with state be latest by default. So yes, I believe that state will. Well, so I think it will be whatever the default is for the package manager itself, which generally is the latest that the package manager has available. So yes, so state latest might not even work for non-Yum systems. I'm going to find out in a second. But yes, it should pull the default if I do not define state like that. It should pull the latest. Instead of app or Yum, you can just use, package Ansible, yes. And it'll find the right package manager. Yes. Yep. I thought you meant I could just I don't know what I thought when I first read that. I think I thought you meant I could just type like I don't know. I think I thought it would pull. I don't know what I was thinking you were saying. If you don't know it, you should use DNF apt or Yum and you can just change the package. Yeah. Okay. So let's actually pull this off for now, and let's just take it as the most base level playbook that we could have here. So first thing that we do now, we've written some code, we've changed the desired state of our system. Right now, our systems have not been managed at all by anything. And we've written some configuration to kind of set them up. They're completely fresh stock services and servers, but now we've written some code to handle them. So let's, I'm actually going to delete this as well. Make it as simple as possible to kind of start with, to get comfortable with. So looking good, we can save it. Just like Terraform, we can follow a few sets of, we can follow a certain path here. We've written our code, we've changed some things. We can now confirm whether or not this thing is valid. So I'm gonna go, was Ansible playbook, Ansible -playbook, I think is the command that we're gonna want here. And Ansible playbook, I'm going to call the name of the playbook that we're using. It's going to be webservers.yaml. That's the playbook that we want to do. What's the command for this? I think it's -- verify syntax. So we can, the same way that we do a Terraform validate, verify -syntax. Man, I'm okay. The equals button is killing me. Whoops. Verify -syn. This feels right. Not syntax. Not syntav. Oh man, I'm going through it. Let's see what it is real quick. I don't know what it is. Terraform, not Terraform. What is this called? Man, my brain is dying right now. All of a sudden, this is Ansible. Verify or validate YAML. Let's. I don't want to do any diffs yet. I don't want to talk about the diffs yet. I just want to simply not YAML lint. Come on, what y'all are syntax check. That was much better. There we go. Syntax check. So instead of verify syntax, which was not the right answer, you just do a syntax check here. So remember the workflow for Terraform. It was write the code, it was validate it, format it, apply it. All right. This is kind of the same way, except you don't have a formatter. That's easy. You can use some linters and stuff like YAML lint. If you're dealing with this stuff a lot, I do recommend, if you are diving into a lot of YAML stuff, YAML lint is something really good to know about. It can take a long time for you to understand the configuration options of a linter. We will definitely do a day of linting. We're definitely going to take a day where we dive deeper into linting. People don't understand how in-depth linters can get, because a lot of the common linters give you a lot of the cool stuff out of the box, but a lot of times you're going to be working on a team where you might need a lot of custom rules and things, so we'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, correct, there is no HTTPD package. It is Apache 2 because we are utilizing Ubuntu. And so we can do syntax check here, and error app is not valid, so that's not going to work, because app does not it. Hold on, let me see. Appears in Ansible web service line 2. Offending line appears to be right here. Name pipelines config. That's very weird because it's telling me app is not a valid attribute for play. Let's see. I thought I could just do that, but let me see how to use the app. Ansible. Yeah, my white space issues already. That can't be. It can't be white. No, it can definitely be white space issues. That was me being as facetious as possible. Name task, is app supposed to be nested underneath farther? That would make sense. If it is, feels like it's supposed to be nested farther under. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And there we go. And let's do a syntax check again. If there is no issue, obviously the only difference here is, I didn't get a bunch of red. If you don't get a lot of red, I was going to try to think of some clever, you don't see the red and you did your best. That didn't rhyme at all. I tried it. I did my best. Sometimes you shoot and you miss, and I shot. That didn't work. It didn't work at all. I was trying to think of something clever there, but it ain't, if it ain't red, you ain't dead. How about that? Oh, you're out of the shed. I like that. Yeah. Don't see no red. You're out of the shed. Okay. There we go. It's there. No issues there. The way to apply it, you can do dry runs for these things. I don't remember what the dry run command is. Let's see. Let's see what the dry run command is. So if you want to do like a plan, there is a way to Ansible playbook dry run. If you'd like, check mode dry run and dash check. Okay, so there's a lot of options here that you can use to help you out. And I have found that these are actually, yeah, we didn't talk about something. We didn't talk about one big thing, a huge thing actually. So these are going to fail. All these are going to fail. We can't actually push up anything because we need to set something up. We're using SSH. SSH means that I need to authenticate with these servers. I need to tell these servers that I am who I am. So let's go ahead and let's fix that. The way that you can fix it, number of ways. Now, I highly advise you to use SSH keys. We're not going to use SSH keys right now because the goal tonight is to start our process of learning Ansible. We will install SSH keys next time. Because we're going to be using AWS next time, so you will have to do that. That part's pretty easy because AWS gives them to you by default. So does Linode as well. But let me show you how to check these things up. Syntax check and check are completely different, but now yes. So syntax check simply checks that your syntax check simply checks the structure of your YAML. It only checks to make sure you have valid YAML. And then the check here is going to do a dry run and see. It checks in, it grabs a bunch of information about the systems and checks to see what's going to change, but it doesn't actually change anything. But let's go back and edit our etc Ansible host file. Okay. All right. We're gonna modify these now. The issue is that we have not given Ansible a way to authenticate with these things. The way that we're going to authenticate, if we were using SSH keys, we could set up something in here or Ansible config file that told it where our SSH key files were. Okay, that works 100%. That is what I highly advise you to do. That's great, phenomenal. Ask to become pass. I didn't know that was a thing. That's pretty helpful too. We might want to try that. Let's try that with one of the servers. But you can also specify your password here. I'm showing you this because I want you to see the different ways you can authenticate, because we will be doing SSH keys later. I think it's helpful to see this. But if you are pushing, well, you might not be pushing this host file anywhere. So I actually think it's okay if you are, if the system that you're controlling the stuff off is secure. I think I don't like putting my password in plain text if possible, but you can here. I think the way that you do this is, I think it's Ansible SSH user, and you set the user to whatever you want the login user to be. I'm not going to type it here. Ansible SSH, and then you do Ansible SSH password underscore pass maybe. Yeah, and then you simply type the password into plain text right here if you'd like. Again, I'm introducing you to the ways that you can do these things. And I could type in, my sweet password right here. That's not my password. I'm going to go off screen and type it. I am going to type it in here. This is what you can do to get it set up and ready to go. Now, there is a caveat to this. I only learned this I think we learned this last time we did any Ansible. We learned it because this is not usually how I would do it. I don't invite, I'm an SSH keys person, but when we're just kind of when we're trying to do a quick setup really quick, you need a special tool to do this. You need like some type of SSH pass agent. It'll tell you what you need. I don't remember what the tool is. I'm hoping it's going to tell me. If it doesn't tell me, I'm going to be screwed and I'm going to have to do some Googling, but I'm pretty sure you need some kind of SSH key pass tool or something. Yeah, SSH pass. I don't really know what it does, to be honest, because I don't do it this way. But I am going to set that up in a second. Let me just get off of screen for a second so that I can put the password in so that you can't see what the password is. And actually, I don't care if you have it because these are ephemeral servers to me, but I don't want you to get in there and do something wild. Like, I don't know if there's a way with Linode without my API, or maybe you can possibly grab my account API key and spin up some other systems and lock me out. That was the wrong screen. I didn't want to go to that screen, but let me just put the password in here right now. So you can do the same thing. Let me just put in what I believe the password is for all these. And now I'm hoping, I'm really hoping it doesn't do something weird where it, echoes out my password on screen. I have no idea, like I said, but it should be fine. That's, we should be good there. I'm going to save that. You can't see it. Let me go back to the Academy view and we'll try this again. Yeah, so the SSH pass command that we put in here, if I try to do this Ansible, this web service check again, it's gonna run it again. And I think now it will, using SSH password instead of key is not possible. So just like that, does not support this. Fingerprint using SSH password instead of key is not possible because host key checking is enabled. SSH pass does not support this. Host key checking. Oh, this might, okay, you can disable host checking. Yep, that'll probably be in the Ansible config. So let's do that. But I wonder why it did one okay for that. Either way, phenomenal. Disable host key checking, I'm assuming, is in SSH. Put this in your SSH config, host strict. Cool, I'll do that. Let's go ahead and, I haven't been in an SSH config in so long. SSH config. But now, okay, so actually question about this, SimCity. Not this wouldn't go in my SSH config. This would go into my /SSH, not, it would go into /etc SSH config, right? SSH underscore config. I feel like it would go here, right? And not there. Strict host key checking, or for host star. Okay, now that makes sense. You did it for, never mind, I missed that host star. So you're right, that'll work. Let's do that. It worked for me with the, yeah, let's do that. Okay. SSH config. I don't have anything in my config. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's disable host checking. There's probably, so one of the reasons why this is happening, why I'm pretty sure this is happening, is because if I just put the IP addresses in, I actually think it would have, oh, config, thank you. Good call. Good. Quick checking before we'd have to, struggle through this. We need a typo. We need a typo alert emote for sure, so that we can easily symbol, send up the signal flare for whenever we're making a mistake. What was I gonna say? But I'm pretty sure that if I had used the IP addresses, this wouldn't have been a problem. But maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Just shooting in the dark. Shooting in the dark. And can I put this on one line, or does this need to be or does it need to be more like a actual host file where we set host to star and switch and put this underneath after a start a new line. Yeah. Start a new line. Yep, like a normal SSH config. Perfect. So basically, if anyone doesn't know what SSH configs are, I don't think we did one last time, but when we are using SSH keys and things, if we were logging into more systems, I probably would set up one of these for us to see. But you can specify some configuration. You can set up what SSH does when you attempt to connect to a host of any type. So I can set up, so let's say I was logging into one type of server. I can have it for this host, for sandbox.mastermind.io. I can use a specific key. I can tell it what user I want to log in as. I can set up all the things I need to set up so that I can just type in, SSH, whatever the host is, and it'll pull all the configuration for me so I don't have to remember these long commands to get logged in and stuff. But it allows you to set default SSH configuration. It's really nice for different hosts. Super helpful. I definitely don't utilize it enough anymore because I don't SSH into a lot of systems, to be 100% honest. Platform Linux host is using, hold on, let me see what that says. Platform Linux host Ansible 2 is using discovered Python interpreter, but feature installation of another Python interpreter could change this. Okay, this is just giving us a little warning about, probably, I'm assuming, yeah, because it's still Python 2. It might be just which version of Linux you installed, possibly SimCity. This just has to do that the executable is using Python 2. Weird, but it's just a warning, probably for later things. Failed message, Python apt must be installed to use check mode. So it's giving me some errors, basically saying I can't run check mode. SimCity, did you use Ubuntu 20.04 as well? But I think I wonder what's different about these two. I wonder what's different about the first two. So these are the two cloned ones, and this is the other one. Ansible only started supporting Python 3 in version 2.2, and they're yet to make the switch. Okay, super weird. I think this might just be a check thing, a dry run type thing. Oh, you're using 20.10. Okay, I'm using 20.04. That could be the problem. I want to run it without the check, the dry run, to see what happens. So this right here, though, this exactly what we're seeing right now is one of the reasons why I prefer, why it's not better. I 100% don't think it's better, is my preference for build time configuration. Okay. I think this is actually going to work just fine. It's giving us some warnings. So one, I want you to see here, this task here, gathering facts. We're going to talk about this in a second, but let me continue with my first thought, is because of things like this, because of a weird oddities between versions of systems, you may automatically be putting into place updates for your AMIs or something, getting kernels and things updated, and you may run into issues like this where there aren't packages or there's been changes to things. I personally want to know. I want to know I'm going to run into those things way before I go to deploy these things, and it can be pretty problematic. But yeah, that's just one of the reasons. But again, we talked about some of the caveats there. You don't have the immediate abilities to be able to push updates out. You don't have the same type of management of these things. But this did, in fact, work for us. This is a very interesting for a Linux server newbie. Yeah, you can run a lot of stuff. These slight OS differences can be fixed using Ansible. That's also true sometimes, most of the time. But yeah, so this actually worked. So one, the first thing that happens is it goes and it gathers facts. What is gathering facts? This is one of the best parts about this is one of the best parts about Ansible. What gathering facts does is it goes into the system, it logs into the system, and it gets information about not only what's there, and not only does it take an inventory of what's there, what's available, it also it gives you a complete view of what's installed and where things are currently at. This is how it knows what changes it needs to make. The same way, this works exactly like state does in Terraform. Remember, we talked about state being the current structure, the current existence of the infrastructure, and it uses that state to determine where things are now and where it needs to go. Ansible will instead gather facts at runtime. So it finds out that state at runtime. So it's you don't have to worry about messing that state up. You can save these facts. There's some cool things you can do with it right now, but it gathers all the facts so it knows what it needs to change. Are these things there? Are these things running? That's how I know what needs to happen. We did it. When we push the change, we push this update. Notice how it says it gives us a recap at the very end. It does the tasks. All right. It tells us that things changed. And when we look at the play recap, it says, hey, on Ansible Web 1, 2 things were okay, 1 thing was changed. Ansible 2, 2 things okay, 1 thing changed. Web 3, 2 things okay, 1 thing changed. The thing that changed was the task that we wrote. That was the task change. If I was to run this again, what do you think we're going to get? All right, it was a lot faster that time. And notice how it said nothing changed. It didn't say anything was changed at all. It everything's okay, everything's fine. The reason why nothing changed is because Ansible did what it was supposed to do. Those facts that it went back together said, hey, Apache is supposed to be here. It looks like it's already here. I don't need to do any work, so I'm not going to do any work. I don't do any work that I don't need to do. It is not like a script. And this is the difference. People always ask, hey, why wouldn't I just scriptify this? Why don't I just stick it inside of why wouldn't I just stick it inside of, let's say, the init scripts or the user data? And it's because those things only run once. And they don't provide any extra flexibility. Now check this out real quick. I'm going to log into one of these systems. All right. I'm going to log into, I don't know which one this is, to be honest, but I'm going to log into it. Let's type this in. All right. So I'm in this system right now. Apache's here. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove Apache 2 from this system. Okay. I think this is number 3. This is number, I don't know which one this is, but I am removing this from the system. So I went in, on my own accord, and I removed Apache from that system. Now, if I go back in and I run this Ansible playbook again, let's see what happens. So it must have been Web 1. Web 1 must have been the problem here. And look at that. So I removed it from one thing. When it goes back in, it makes sure that the system is up to date. When it gathers those facts, it knows what's going on and it says, hey, this thing is not here. I need to go ahead and make sure it's there. My configuration says it needs to be there. I'm going to make sure it is there. If I change the version and I had set a specific version in there, it will install the right version instead. It will get it back into a consistent state, which is super helpful. So this is why we say that infrastructure as code prevents configuration drift. These configuration management tools prevent configuration drift, and that becomes super duper helpful. Yes, Ansible is declarative. Same thing with Chef and Puppet as well. Declarative rather than procedural. Procedural means it's going to go line by line and do what you want it to do. So if you already have Ansible installed, or if you already have something there, every time you run a script, it will attempt to do it again. It will go through and it'll do exactly what you put in there. Ansible will do its best to, it kind of knows, hey, I see you need these things. I know you have some dependencies here. I know these things need to happen to make this thing happen. You just tell me what you want and I will know, I will help you get there. I know what order things need to happen in. I know, for the most part, not completely. You still need to manage some of that, but it's not procedural. It doesn't go line by line and it's all the thing. And then, it figures out how to get you to the place that you described. Okay. That's a very good thing to throw out there, Sin City. Did I miss the part where we check in on the running system to ensure they are meeting the current definition? So what do you mean? I think I know what you're asking, but let me be. What do you mean check in on the running system to ensure they are meeting the current definition? Well, so we did a dry run, but the dry run wouldn't allow us to do these things. A dry run would also allow us. So there's a couple different ways to see it. As in not running the playbook all the time. Yes. So no, we didn't talk about that yet. We probably won't talk about that. We probably won't talk about that until we might do a little bit of that on Wednesday. I think we're talking about that right now. I have my reasons. Hopefully, we're gonna do a whole project on Wednesday about this. But you can see here that it allowed us to easily be able to do this stuff. But I want to be clear about something. Look at this IP address right here. Even though Apache's installed, if I put this IP address in the browser, which was this one. Oh, okay. That wasn't supposed to happen. Oh, I forgot. So you know what? Service Apache 2 status. Sully, what's up? Sully, we're trying to check on you, make sure you have power. It's good to see you. How you doing? Hopefully you got to miss all that. It started. So this is something that's relatively new. This did not used to happen, but it does happen now. Every time I install Nginx, it happens. I haven't installed Apache in a long time. It seems like both Apache and Nginx by default, as soon as they're downloaded, they get started, which is very interesting to me. It's an interesting paradigm, but it's the state of Kansas, all good, no big deal. That's why you come over here. We're not, although we do tech stuff here, we're learning, it ain't about that. We're about having fun. Doesn't matter if you understand it all or not. You'll get something out of it. You also have a good time. But it's good to see you, the state of Kansas. Glad you're here. System D allergy strikes again. Yeah, I don't like that. So normally you'd have to handle this a couple different ways. Not only would I have to declare that I want this thing installed, I would also need to declare that I want it running. Okay. So even if right now, if I, you know what, let's actually do that. If I stop Apache, I don't think that it will start it. If I stop it on the system right here, if I instead stop it, and now I refresh over here, this should not work. It should give me an error, which it looks like it's going to do. If I should run this again, I don't think it'll start it back up. It shouldn't start it back up. Not check. Let's remove that check. Let me show down to find people running Apache Tomcat. And there's some great hat. Yeah. Okay, so it says everything's fine here. Okay. We stopped the service. The service is still not running. And so that's another thing you need to handle. Not only do you want the service there, you also want the service to be running. You want to ensure that it's running. But so you would actually have to add in a different piece here. Actually, they didn't do it here, but we can just do that. Oh, here's an example down here of what it looks like. And instead of using that package manager, we can use the service function here. So let's modify it, and we can simply go down here and we can go name. Let's go back up. Name, and we'll say ensure Apache is running. All right, and then we use the service function instead, and we'll give it the name and Apache 2, and we need to give I think it's state, and I think it's running. I think the keyword is running here. I never know what the stuff is here. Apache is simply a web server. It allows a system to be able to accept web requests. So started is the keyword. So not running, it's just started. So let's change it to started. And we can kind of set it here right now. Is state the right keyword? Yes, it's the right keyword. So now, not only will we have Apache installed, but we'll also make sure that service is now running. And so if I save that and I now go to run it again, before it did not start it, but now this time it should start it this time. So now one has changed. So it wasn't running. Now it's up. If we go back and we refresh this here now, it is now back up again. So even if the service dies, it will start it back up. So I will be honest. Configuration management, another thing that bothers me a little bit about configuration management tools like this is that it's possible to use them to mask problems, and you can miss problems. You can definitely miss things that are happening. Whether or not that's a big deal depends on what your setup is, but it definitely can cause you to miss things because it resolves so many problems. So yeah, let's see. We haven't lost power at all. That's good. That's definitely good. because I've been out of the power since 2 a.m. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people have been, down and out for a while with that. So yes, Ray, exclamation point YouTube. They go up on YouTube in playlists. So they're there. I think we're 2 weeks behind, but they'll all go up in a big batch together. So yeah, you can follow them on there. Is it a good practice to add on the same YAML file config or something like Apache and a database? So I don't think so. But it depends on how you're structuring the entirety of the application. I think that they should be separate in completely different files so they can be managed separately. There's also ways you can still have them in the same file and manage them separately. But no, I think it's good practice to have them in different files and to either. So people go in a couple different ways. They either group by service. So maybe they have specifically one for Apache, specifically one for MySQL, specifically one for whatever services they're running. Maybe they have one for users. Maybe they have one for for each of the specific little things. And some people do them on the other hand. They create their playbooks by application. So all the things needed to run this specific application. Maybe I need to install MySQL and PHP and blah blah blah. Apache for a LAMP stack service. You can do it that way as well. Yes, Aya, Big Bang YouTube updates. That's what happens. That's how I gotta be sometimes. I tried it. I'm about to have someone else in charge of it. So the problem is the biggest issue is my 40 megs upload speed is the big problematic feature that's broke my automation. And when I don't go into I haven't been going into the office at all or very much for the past like 2 weeks. And that's where I usually upload from, because when I'm uploading these videos, although it's only my upload bandwidth, it eats my internet. It makes it so that I can't really do much else. So it's super problematic. Yeah. 100. Sully, I got you. I'll do it. I'll do it right now because we're done. We're basically done for today. Oh yeah, we're partner now, so the videos will be here for 60 days. Now that's super helpful actually. So now that changed, it gets it up and running. Okay. This was a very light introduction to Ansible. Hopefully now you know what it is. But hopefully you can see that this configuration isn't, it's very light. When we install something, we'll make sure it's running. Now you kind of have an idea on how you could install anything and make sure it's running. You could do this to your own machine. People write Ansible files to, if they ever have to destroy their machine and they want to get everything up and running quickly again, they can do they create these for their own machine and install it, set their own machine as the target, and push these updates out to their own machine and get everything up and running much faster. It can be pretty helpful. You got to keep it up to date though. What we're going to be doing Wednesday, I wanted you to see what it is. It's the exact same thing we did with Terraform. I wanted you to see what it is. We're going to have basically, we're going to take what we did with Terraform, the same configuration that we ended with. I still have it. We're going to be deploying that same scenario. So remember, we're working for that guy. I think his name is Richard, whatever. He started that company. We're going to be using Ansible now to create that application. We're going to be setting up users. We are going to be installing a bunch of different services. We're going to see what some of that configuration looks like. We're going to be learning how to use variables and stuff as well. It'll probably be a 2.5 hour day for that day. And yeah, is it retroactive? I don't think so. So it'll be all streamed starting from February 1st or January 31st. I think is when I was partnered. So January 31st, I think. So probably not those. But again, I do have them downloaded. So they're going up on YouTube. Definitely tonight or tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow for sure. Former president, I would just say, in the next 4 years, I will make sure every American home gets 1 gig download and upload. I would instantly get elected. Yes, that is a platform I can get behind. I'm going to be honest. I don't care what else. What other platform? I won't even. I'll close my ears after that. You give me 1 gig up, 1 gig down. I get 1 gig down. You give me a gig up. I'll do a lot for a gig up. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I will elect you. So you want to run on that platform? You got my vote, 100%. I knew about you getting partner right. Yeah, Sully. I'm pretty sure you did. I'm pretty sure you already. You knew. Are you going to use a different OS so we can use when? Hey, that's a good idea. So, yes, that's a good idea. There's no reason why we remind me because so what A is talking about is there's Same thing with Terraform. There's a lot of logic you can add to this. It's not just this simple. We can have variables. We can have there are loops that we can do. There are a bunch of different things. We can also make some do some conditional operations. So when an operating system is Apache, we need this to be called Apache too. But if it's CentOS or Fedora, we need it to be HTTPD, and so we need to be careful with that. And there are some keywords and things that we can use to make sure that can happen. So yes. Is there a way to reverse a playbook, like undo everything that happened? I think so. I think there's like a retract, isn't there, or something like that? Am I tripping? Ansible undo playbook. I'm pretty sure there is. Rollback changes. Yeah. Um. Oh, really? I really thought it was. I thought there was a way to stop it all. I don't want to roll back. I just want to running a playbook in reverse order. Maybe not. I could have. I thought there was though. Maybe not. Sounds like there might not be. And I guess so. The way that you do it is you simply remove the stuff, or you could also ensure that something doesn't exist. So although I'm making sure that this thing is here, I'm pretty sure you can also change the state to removed, and it will delete the things instead of adding them if we wanted to do that as well, or just remove it, or just comment everything out and rerun it. I guess that's what I could also do. So if I want to do something like, maybe I want to do. Let's try this again. Let's see if this works this time. Control V down. Nope, that didn't do it. That didn't do it. Nope. Why doesn't it? This doesn't work for me. No. Alt up. I think it has to do. My key bindings are weird. This used to work. It used to work, but yeah, you could comment them all out, and you could rewrite it, or you could change their state to not be there. Don't know what the keyword is. Oh, absent. Perfect. Absence the keyword here for that, and it would remove it all if you needed to do that. So cool. That's all for tonight. First off, before we get out of here, Sully, I'm going to push my CSHRC up for you. Let me make sure there's not any weird. I mean, there shouldn't be any weird stuff in there. Let's see. I did change this up a lot. You might have to change this and some of the other stuff, but cool. Do I have my CD? What's here? I have to clone it first here because I never pushed this up to here. Let me grab it real quick. GitHub is what we're doing. Yeah, GitHub. There we go. And I want my repositories, my config files. Let me grab this really quick. Copy .zshrc. And I'll copy that into config files. Yes, overwrite it. I'll also copy it into config files into init.vim in case anyone is using, what's that other thing called? If anyone is using nvim, you have it there as well. Come on. There we go. Git add. Go ahead, add them both. -m. Updated. ZSHRC with, what did I call, what is it? It's called spaceship theme. All right. Ugh. I can't believe I don't have this set up to use my keys yet. That's gross. Gross. All right. There you go, Sully. It's there now. You now have it. You can do what I need. You can fit. You can do it. I need to add in the right fonts so that we can get the little thing that we need there. But yeah, there you go. Let's see. Yeah, but that's it. So tangible takeaways for this evening. is we dove a little bit deeper into the second pillar of infrastructure as code. So the first pillar that we learned last week was provisioning tools, using things like Terraform, using things like AWS's cloud formation to be able to provision web infrastructure. You declare the underlying infrastructure that you want, the servers, the computing resources that you want, and you get those things spun up and provisioned so that you can use them. Tonight we learned about the second kind of tier there, which is the server configuration management. Once I have those resources, those web resources, cloud resources, how do I configure them in the way that I want them? And those are configuration management tools like Puppet, Chef, Ansible, SaltStack. Cool. We learned about the two different main methods or models or so for running these things: the push method and the pull method. One where the nodes pull information and they pull that configuration to themselves, and one where you have a centralized kind of leader server that can push all this information out to all the nodes. So two different models. We learned Ansible is push model, and one of the big benefits there is that it does not have the nodes. The individual nodes do not have a daemon. They aren't running a service. They are agentless. They don't have an agent that is running on them, which is super helpful. So you only really need to manage one service or one server with these things called with our inventory file. So we need to make sure that our main controller node knows everything that it's managing. That's called the inventory. We can set that up. We can group things together, and we can push updates out. We know that the manifests that we're creating, the files that we're using, are written in YAML, and that's I think I keep accidentally saying yet another markup language, but I'm pretty sure YAML stands for YAML ain't markup language or something like that. I don't know, super weird. Pretty sure it's a recursive acronym. Really, really weird, really dumb as well. But we know about YAML. We know that that's how you are going to write it, and that we can write these playbooks with what we want, describing what we want, and we can run it against these systems that are in our inventory, and it'll using SSH, it will log in and it'll attempt to do these things. So yeah, that's tangible takeaways for today. On Wednesday, try to be here on time. Try to be right at like 7:05. We are going to start immediately up. We're going to have another scenario. It's basically going to take the scenario we had last week and extend it even further. But we're going to have a scenario based thing that we have to solve. So we're going to be writing a fair amount, hopefully writing a fair amount um, of YAML basically to get stuff configured, to get stuff up and running. We already have our infrastructure code from last week. We'll have to make a few small changes to get to our inventory to make it work with the AWS infrastructure that we're going to be using, and then we're just going to have. Hopefully, we're going to be building stuff for an hour and 45 minutes. We will be typing out and writing new YAML to be able to build stuff out a little bit better. Black Eagle, I'm glad you were here as well for a full stream. I'm glad you were able to catch one live. Thank you so much for coming through. Then you have the chicken and egg problem with the main. Oh wait, I don't know what you guys are talking about right now. Host responsible for deploying all other hosts. How do you manage that one? Hey, there. Yes, yes. Yeah, how do you manage it? These are all good. These are all great questions. Propagation, yet another markup language. Yeah, I okay. I've been saying yet another markup language, but for some reason, I also feel like it also stands for YAML ain't no markup language or something like that as well. But I say yet another all the time. Maybe this is like a Emacs Vim thing. Who knows? Absolutely burning JC. What's up, Amame? Lurk away. I get it. All good. All right, so who we're gonna go say hello to tonight? Surprisingly, this is this is one of the first nights in a long time that I'm not starving. Okay. Recursive acronym for YAML ain't markup language from Wikipedia. Yeah, I get it. I get it all this. I've seen them both. But I've heard it both ways, and the way I've heard it most of the time is that it's a recursive acronym of it ain't no markup language. So I don't know. Who knows? Absolutely, Stragul. I'm gonna try to make the scenario bigger and better. I mean, I have it, but I kind of want to add to it because I don't think there's enough in there, to be honest. But we'll see. But who are we gonna see tonight? Let's see. My man Sensei CJ's on. We've been over to Splashly a few times. Let's give someone else some love. Ooh, cybersecurity. Who do we got? Anyone doing anything fun? Our man CM's on here. Is Danny Sim on again? What's Danny Sim doing tonight? We try to spread the love around a little bit. You all seem to have a lot of love for Danny Stem. Need Me a Knee Along. That's a good title, to be honest. Let's see. All right, Amame threw it out there, then so we're gonna head over there. You know, if you throw it out there, I'll go there. That's going to be the thing. You throw it out, I'll go to the first person in science and technology that I see. But yeah, we've been over cyber insecurity a couple times as well. Yeah, so let's head over, say hello, and you know, we'll hit somebody up tomorrow. We stream 6 days a week, so everyone will get some love over over time. So thanks everyone for coming through. Again, Sully, I hope your power stays up and good, and you don't have any issues. I'm glad you Texans are out there getting to get a little bit of snow. Yeah, you know, enjoy it while, you know, because it might be a while for you guys to get it again. And I'll see you all later. Everyone have a great night. Go get some food. Go relax with your family. Go get some sleep. Go play some video games. I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.